I'm Tigo. And today you are going into phase two of International Women's Day. And I've had a blast. I mean, we had 14, I believe, amazing women this morning. We've got 12 or 13 coming up this afternoon. It's going to be nuts. Our first one is waiting in the virtual green room to come out. She's already given me a hard time. She's already had a lot of fun. I've already messed up her name twice. So, hey, what do you want me to say? I'm going to introduce you to Holly Hoadley. And I know I got that right. I know I did. Did I get it right?
You nailed it. Nailed it.
I nailed it. I nailed it. Now, before we start this interview, I've got to tell you something. There is a rhino on your shelf back there.
Correct.
And you may not know this, but Rhino Julie is probably in the audience right now watching, and she's coming up later today. And rhinos are her life. So, yeah, she's probably going to be like inboxing you, calling you. Because that's one of the rhinos I have not seen. But anyway, let's talk. Let's talk about one. You're in Canada. What's the weather like?
Freezing. Freezing. Absolutely freezing.
Okay, so you don't want to know I'm wearing shorts and there's a fan running over there and it's going to be 73 today?
I'm angry now.
Okay, she says I'm angry now. You have the coolest name. I mean, I would just call you H, but you have the coolest name. And you did help me. I'm going to be honest because I was messing it up before we started this. But let's talk about what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. You have a marketing agency, which is a really wide term now. It's a little bit of everything. What's your specialty?
So my specialty, so first you can call me H-Dog if that helps. You know, I do have that H-Dog or Halls. I'm good. So yes, my agency called Creative Solutions, the way that I came into this was through consulting. And I quickly realized that consulting is amazing, but a lot of people don't have a team to actually implement a lot of these things. Okay. So the way my business is structured is we have one major component, which is strategic blueprinting. So we do really fun stuff like operational efficiency modeling and business blueprints and marketing blueprints. The other side of the business is we have very specific things like marketing initiatives. So we do website design development based on user experience. Okay. We do social media management, so organic social media management. We tend to stay away from the ad side of it. Our job really is human to human. That's what we specialize in. We specialize in human to human interactions, looking at why humans buy, what makes people make the purchasing decision, and really lean into the human aspect of it.
So what brought you to that? I mean, of course, everybody in marketing, everybody in business, for the most part, unless, of course, you own PetSmart or something, your target is human. But when you say human to human, what does that mean? Because I asked you before we got on air and you said this year is going really well for you. What does that mean when you're in the middle of COVID? I mean, other than hanging out on Zoom or StreamYard, what's this human to human thing mean?
Yeah, it's relationships. Because a lot of people think of B2B or B2C, and it doesn't really matter necessarily to us because we look at the humans behind the B or the C, right? And we market to those people, right? So we look at it. It happens to be my initials too, H to H, HH. But human to human interactions is where it's at. So if you look at the online component or in-person component, it's relationship building. So if you have a service-based business, a product-based business, it's about the humans that are making those purchasing decisions. So how do you talk to them? How can you be friends with them? How do you connect with them? They're all people, and so are you.
Well, this is true. They are all people. But,
they're all just people.
You know, I saw on your website efficiency. Efficiency is important to you. Why is efficiency important to you? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I don't really like to beat around the bush a lot. I like to get to the point for sure. When we help clients, we try and figure out from clients what their deep down needs are, and we fill those needs by working with the humans behind it, as well as with the goal or the solution that the clients are looking for in general. So the efficiency modeling for us is literally exactly that, making things as easy to use as possible in the least amount of clicks, and looking at the ways to make even operations or marketing much more efficient.
So when you talk about websites and branding and all of that in 2020, 2021 now, people are going to Instagram. They're TikToking. They're, now YouTube has shorts. It's like there's all of that. Is website still needed? Do you still need that for your business?
That's a good question, actually. The way that I see websites is that's the landing page, that's the home of all the things. So pretty static, sits there a lot of the time. You can write blogs or articles for it, but it kind of just sits there. But then how do you reach people? So if you're waiting for people to find you, cool, that's SEO, that's search engine optimization. You just wait.
Right.
But if
Right.
you want to be proactive about it and actually talk to people and reach out to people and let them know that you even exist, you do things like social media. The word social is there for a reason. Instagram, to me, is the best cold calling tool there's ever been invented, besides a cell phone, besides a phone. But besides that, so be hiding behind a screen and you're using Instagram as a cold calling tool, it is super available to you. All you have to do is reach out.
Okay, you got to explain that a little bit more, because I know somebody's going to be watching this and going, how is Instagram more important than Facebook? How is it more important than TikTok? What does that mean for Instagram Reels? Are you talking about Instagram TV? So tell me, what do you mean by that?
So yeah, your website is definitely static. I do think it's still needed and relevant, absolutely. But when it comes to social, so Facebook is kind of a spot where things live. Not a lot of people just find you on Facebook. It's made it very difficult to find organic ways to use Facebook besides groups and reaching from business to business, because you can actually reach other business accounts through your business account.
Right.
But Instagram happens to be available to all of us. So if we want to talk to somebody, we just send them direct message or we just comment on one of their posts. Anyone that has a public account, you can chat with them. You can have a conversation with them. Facebook, it's a lot harder for a business to do that, because what's happening is the Zuckerbergs of the world would like to collect more money. And so they're like, do you like using Facebook? Cool. We'll show your post a little bit. But if you really want to play here, you got to pay.
Yeah,
so
you got to pay to play.
Yeah, pay to play for sure. Whereas Instagram, there's so many things available to you to be able to use it for that community-driven, conversation starting type of platform. And so the content's one of it. So content, yeah, good, has some good hashtags, has some good mix of content, but community management is where you actually see a difference. When you can be proactive and reach out and find your target market and the humans on social media, just say hi, start a conversation, say what's up, like their post, comment like a real human, and you'll have a much better way to chat with someone or to build a relationship or to build that partnership than you would on something like Facebook. Twitter is, again, another one that could be used like that, but I think Instagram is the best one. When it comes to posting on Reels and posting on IGTV, I think that's relevant, but I still think that community management is where you can make the most amount of impact.
Now, it's funny you would say all that, and what you started with was, Facebook, and it's owned by the same company, and they seem like night and day. It's like two different worlds and they're under the same umbrella. But I'm going to shift gears before I have to let you get out of here. I want to know 90s hip hop. What?
So this is when I was born. It's like a TikTok.
Well, I have socks older than you.
This is where I'm from. This is my age. No. My life, I breathe hip hop. And I'm not talking about the new hip hop, like, I can't even say Drake's hip hop, but the new hip hop, it's okay. It's fine. It's a lot of like it's a bunch of, I don't relate a lot of it, but 90s hip hop and going into the late 70s, into the 80s, into the 90s gave us Biggie, they gave us Tupac, they gave us Snoop, they gave us Redman, they gave us everybody.
She really knows her history.
I cannot live without my 90s hip hop. And I'll tell you right now that DMX is by far my favorite artist of all time. Along with, I have like Erykah Badu and DMX. I know they're very different.
Yeah.
But when I train or I do a lot of I used to fight kickboxing and jujitsu and Muay Thai, and
Okay.
my fight song was definitely Rough Riders. Everything to do with DMX, and when I was about to fight, I would listen to DMX.
Now, today is all about International Women's Day. We're trying to have women from all over the world. I mean, we've had somebody here from Germany. We've had somebody from Mexico. Now a couple of people from Canada. We got somebody coming up later from Indonesia. Hopefully she's sleeping right now because it's the middle of the night over there. But with all of that said, and women are going to be watching this, we're going to re-air it on all of our platforms and have it out there. What would you tell someone who says, I want to do it. I want to start my own business, but I just don't think I can. I don't think I fit. I don't think I'm the right fit. What would you say to that?
So I might be one of those people that I have too much hope. I might be a little blinded by some things. I feel like if you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you will. And I know that's like a cliche thing to say, but if you have that resilience, if you have that passion behind you and you really do think you can do it, freaking do it. Be unapologetically yourself. Go in. If you think you can't do it, unfortunately, you might not just go ahead and do that. I need you to feel that. I need you to feel the passion and feel your abilities to be able to do something like this. And I bet you right now, it's going to be worth it.
With you talking about martial arts and everything and hip hop, and then efficiency is all over your website, what does those things mean to you as your foundation? Do you still use the things that you were taught when you were doing martial arts as part of your like driving mechanism to just get through the days? Because I know as an entrepreneur, we do this all day long. How are you staying focused and keeping your eye on the prize?
I'll make a quick joke. So every time someone owes me money, I tell them that I have a black belt in kickboxing. So I guess I kind of use martial arts a little bit if I need to get some money from my clients.
Remind me to pay her next week. No, I'm kidding.
You need a body. So I do use a lot of the stuff. I come from sports background. So I played basketball for university, and it's all about the team. It's really like I was a point guard. So I led the team. I had in my head and I told them what to do, and they all just did it. And it was fantastic. So that team mentality has literally driven me to having a business with 14 team members. And a lot of them are female. And I feel like when it comes to sports, when it comes to martial arts, when it comes to anything that requires discipline, I am not a type A personality. I'm a 3. I'm an achiever. When it comes to the Enneagram test, I don't know if you've taken the Enneagram, but I am passionate about what I do. The team feels it as well, but I think it's all about team. I really do. I think it's teamwork. I think if you put your face out there, you are unapologetically yourself, your team follows and your team feels it. They really feel it.
So what's next for you? What are you planning 5 years, 10 years? Where do you see yourself going next?
Yeah, I want to live in Costa Rica where it's warm.
Nice.
That's a dream. Literally.
I didn't see that coming.
I know. I hustle. I'm one of those people that they work. I don't think you're allowed to sing that online. You might need copyrights for that one.
I love it.
I think in 5 years, I'm still going to be doing this. I'm only 45 years old. I think that I got a lot of years left in me. I want to keep building teams. Yeah. I just want to keep building people up, working with more females, empowering more women, doing more things. I think 7 figures are in my sights this year, to tell you the truth. And I think that we're just going to keep growing and just killing it.
So when you hear a woman say, it's too late for me, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I wanted to start a business, but it's too late for me. What do you say to that?
So am I allowed to smack them? Like, are they in front of me? No.
Not please. On
camera. No, I kind of go back to like it. If you really don't believe it, it might not happen. And that's okay. If that's the destiny that the path you're going on, that's okay. But if you really are passionate and you really see something there, do it. Get a mentor, get someone that's been in your shoes. It's never too late. Never too late, ever. My mom started a business well into her 50s and 60s. So, it's not too late. Thank you. Period.
Well, Holly, I want to thank you for coming, or as I like to call you, H. I want to thank you for coming and hanging out with me this afternoon and just sharing a little bit of your story. I hope you can come back on and we can do a full interview and just hang out and really get deep. But I'm trying to get as many of these wonderful, amazing women like yourself to hang out with me for International Women's Day. And I want to thank you for doing just that.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of the time.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
All right, coming up after this break, we're going to talk about the power of words. And how you may think you don't have anything you want to say. The next guest is going to tell you, oh, yes, you do. So sit right there. We'll be right back.
Hey, I have a quick question for you. Do you want a professional agency to handle all your video creation, syndication, and monetization needs? We totally understand that new leads and customers are the lifeblood for any business. And if you're looking to grow or scale your business, using video is definitely the best way to go. Here at Melrose 11, we specialize in getting you the results you need to help you grow your business by generating new leads, driving more traffic, and closing more sales without breaking your bank. Did you know, according to HubSpot, having a well-targeted video on your landing page can increase conversions by up to 80%? Yeah, and up to 64% of users are more likely to buy a product online after watching video than by text alone. And that 92% of mobile users share videos with others. And 90% of users say that videos are helpful in their purchase decision making. Incorporating video into your marketing and social media activity is no longer an option, it's an absolute requirement if you're looking for long-term success. Heck, it may even be essential for the very survival of a business. Here at Melrose 11, media truly is our passion. We create animated explainer videos, social teasers, catchy intros, full HD commercials, and even viewer interactive videos. So, if you're looking to elevate your brand, or attract more leads, generate more sales, increase traffic, or build up more exposure for your business, then you've definitely come to the right place. Our professional team will develop your video campaigns at an affordable price, with our fast turnaround times, and a quality of work that can't be beat. We look forward to working with you.
Coming up next is my new friend, Jamie Wolf. She's all about publishing. She's all about helping someone get their message out in a book or a novel or all kinds of cool stuff like that. I got to welcome her to the stage. Hey, Jamie, what's happening?
Woo-hoo. Hey, you're still going. Amazing. I caught you hours ago.
And I got hours to go because we just got started with the second phase of this. So I got hours to go. And then we get to edit all these and chop them all up and put them out as individual interviews. So yeah, I'm going to fall in love with you guys. I'm going to be looking at you forever. How are you doing? What's happening?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you. And thank you for having me on this International Women's Day. I can't imagine a better thing than to celebrate the power that we all bring together when we work together. And that's what I love. You're being the example of that, letting all these people share and just tell stories. And, I'm all about story.
You're all about story. And that's a great segue. See, when you have an author on, this is what happened. They give you great segues in. So this is what you do. You help entrepreneurs and other people get their message, that thought, that story in their head out. How did you get started doing that? And what made you decide to do that?
Well, I appreciate both those questions. I'm probably one of those people, like so many, that had the thought, I'm going to write a book someday. Someday I'm going to write a book. And I probably started when I was a little kid writing a book about my goldfish or my cat or something like that. But somewhere along the way, I did that adulting thing. My kids like to say, oh my God, I'm learning how to adult now. It's so awful. But it takes some of the life and the dreams. It sidetracks you a little bit when you go through college and grad school and get the corporate job and, start having the bills and responsibilities and families. And so I did all of that for a long time. And then, as many of us do, had a personal thing, a health issue in the family that kind of took me in a new direction, and that became an entrepreneurial journey for me. And one thing we can say about being entrepreneurs is it will teach you lessons, especially if you're not listening and paying attention. Damn. So learned some of those lessons, and that, caused me to pivot again just a little bit. And in the process, I started helping other entrepreneurs, and then found myself saying the same thing over and over and over. So I thought, aha, I will write this down. I will put it in a book. I will hand it to them, and I can stop being, on replay all the time. That introduced me to the world of, writing and publishing is one thing. Marketing is a really different thing. And then
it's a different beast.
Followed the shiny objects and, went in a few more ways, but circled back. And the thing I found, at least in my existence, is the themes that are really important come back around, and they come back around. And maybe I'm not ready to grab that ring the first or the second time, but the third or fourth time it comes back around. Okay, we're doing this now. So I was introduced to not the man, but the company, Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, and a couple of years ago. So I was just listening to your previous guest talk about age and slapping people if they think they're too old. Maybe I won't say exactly how old I am, but I'm older than she is. Let's just put it that way. And so this idea of staying relevant as I get older and being independent so that I can continue working at a value that I believe that I have, rather than, being dependent on an employer in a small geographical place that maybe isn't going to pay me what I have become accustomed to earning.
Right.
And so learning these new skills keeps my brain young, all this stuff. And I went back to the thing I love is story. And the thing I love is helping people write and publish. And over the years, I sort of learned the marketing. Boy, I hate that phrase, sort of. Need to delete that. Learned how to help people write, publish, and hit bestsellers. So what I do now is I help experts, specifically entrepreneurs, write best-selling books, help them become published best-selling authors. That was a pretty long-winded answer to a short question.
I love it. I love it. So if someone is sitting at home right now and they don't even believe they have a story in them, we have somebody coming up a little bit later. Peggy's coming, and she's the one who told me I have a story in me. And I'm like, excuse me? And then you and I were talking. It's like, if they don't even believe they have a story in them, what do you tell them? When you're looking at their life going, this is somebody who needs to have a book, needs to write about their company, their life, their business. How do you know when you see them? What do you tell them?
It sounds cliched, but everybody has a story. I think that imposter syndrome kicks in where we don't think we're ready yet. We don't think we're good enough. Maybe we haven't had enough experience yet. The one I especially love is, oh my God, I've failed so many times. Who the heck is going to listen to me? Yeah, I'm going to talk about all these failures and go, you should, copy me, because wait, what? I'm trying to teach you success and all I'm talking about is my failures. But failures are wonderful learning lessons if we allow them to be. So anyone who most anyone who wants to tell a story has a story. I specifically work with business stories, and a lot of people come to me and say, I've had this journey and this big long life lesson. Should I write about that? Absolutely yes, but maybe if you want a strategic book to help grow your business right this minute, that's not the book to start with. How about if we get to that a little bit later? Because that's a little bit more personal, a little bit more cathartic. And what I want people to do is make sure they're reaching an audience who needs to hear their message. And almost always that message involves going through some hardship and providing the belief that someone else can get through it, because they're sitting there. I know in my story, when I took a huge U-turn, the humiliation and the shame and the isolation, and oh my God, I can't tell anybody this because I am the stupidest person on the planet. I can't believe I made these mistakes. When I finally started sharing them, I went, oh wow, almost every other entrepreneur has made the same darn mistake. Who knew? So it's really important that we share our stories so that someone else isn't suffering alone in silence. That's why I love the power of story.
Let me shift gears because you have a team, and you have people that help you get these stories out, actually get them published, and help them get into Amazon and further and beyond. How do you choose your team, and what kind of team members do you look for?
I have learned that any issue I had in the past with a team was my fault.
Didn't hear that
Because
coming.
communication is key. So I've studied with Alex Charfin a little bit about, team building, and a few other wonderful folks, Chris Baden, Sean Malone, about team building and hiring and being very specific in job descriptions, making sure people actually understand what they're there for, checking in frequently, having metrics, so that just because I said, hey, go do this, you're an adult, I don't check in with you for 2 weeks and then I'm upset when it's not done or not done the way I wanted it. That's on me entirely. So like any other situation, training is really important. SOPs are really important. Metrics are really important. Communication frequently. So the things that I look for are pretty basic. A while back, I was working in economic development, and I first heard the term soft skill. I was like, what the heck is a soft skill? It's like, oh, showing up on time and not going away for lunch and never coming back and calling someone if you're going to be late. And I was like, seriously, you have to teach soft skills? But it is part of communication and part of expectation. A phrase that I heard a while back is, people don't disappoint you, your expectation of them disappoints you. And I've really hung on to that, because if my expectation is being disappointed, chances are I did not communicate clearly and define what needed to be done. So in the process of building a team, it's been a little trial and error, and it's more been building me. Back in the corporate world, I had a team of 50 people. That was easy. I kind of inherited them. The bigger picture framework foundation around how we all worked was already defined. I didn't have to create it. It's been really different in the entrepreneurial world.
So you and I had a long conversation the other day. I took up a lot of your time, and I totally appreciate you putting up with my craziness, But you brought up, Sean and Chris and our buddies over there from Sales Ascender, and Chris is in one of your books.
Yes,
What
he is.
book is he in?
So I did a book, which is appropriate to International Women's Day. I did a book called $1 Million Moms. And the theme got going because a bunch of the moms who were running one or more multi-million-dollar or more businesses wanted to talk about how they were bringing their children into the entrepreneurial space. So I thought, men like to be competitive. I did $1 Million Moms book and it did really well. How about we do $1 Million Dads book? So Chris is the father of now 3 children, 2 at the time that he was an author in $1 Million Dads. And because he talks about sales, he has the most wonderful story about his young son who wanted a toy. And interestingly, Chris and I had met a year ago. We just happened to sit, asked to share the same table while we were eating breakfast. And he started telling me about his son. So he is very oriented, invested in being a parent and raising children who can solve problems. Doesn't matter that they're 2 or 3 or 4. It's like, you got a problem. What do you think we should do about that? And part of it was the child wanted money to buy a green Power Ranger or Ninja Turtle, something that was green. Green stands out in my head. He's going to shoot me when he watches this. And it's like, you don't remember? It's like, I know it's green. But the idea of, okay, you want that, it requires money. How do you get money? You solve someone's problem. What problem can we solve? And right at that moment, the family lost their car keys. So it's like, we could make keychains that are big enough and bold enough that people don't lose their keys and have to waste all this time and get upset looking for their keys. And so then went door to door. And I love this lesson. One of the lessons was, the first person said no. And Chris was like, you just said no to my child? You crushed him? But his son wasn't upset. And so Chris was taking that cue of, oh, okay, so he's fine with that. We all need to, not need to, but we will feel so much better when rejection is simply a conversation. It is not the end of the world. It's nothing that we have to take personally. Oh my God, my keychain's no good, or my story's no good, or my book is no good, or my business is no good. It's communication. So I am so pleased that Chris was an author in the book, because his stories around selling, which every single entrepreneur needs, but
Yeah.
many of us are less comfortable with because we haven't been taught how to do it correctly, and we haven't learned or practiced it enough yet.
Yeah, when I was a kid, well, I wasn't much of a kid, but I was much younger. Somebody taught me a long, long time ago, you're either being sold or you're selling every day. You know, you just got to figure out which side you're going to fall on. And I keep that in my head. You know, my parents say I came here selling, so I think I got that part down okay. I, want to thank you. I think you're amazing. You know, you took out time the other day to just kind of walk me through some stuff, because, I don't hide stuff from folks. I'm dyslexic. I'm a strange kind of dyslexia, in the sense that I don't see spaces when I get tired. So by the end of today, all these words that are bouncing on the screen are going to look like one long word. But you explained to me that that's fine. We have ways to work around that and deal with it. If I can talk and somebody else wants to listen to it and find the story in there, I'm 100% in. I want to thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, being here for International Women's Day. I mean, we're going coast to coast because you're over in the Carolinas. We're going international. It's been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for the time. I love it. I'm always energized by speaking with you, even when you've been going all day. It's amazing.
I've
So
only
thank
got
you.
2.5 more hours to go. It's okay.
Oh, that. Nothing. Piece of
It's just
cake.
that.
You
Yeah,
got
piece
it.
of cake. Thanks, Jamie. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See, I'm hitting too many buttons. I think I'm tired. I'm going to bring Ann back up. We're going to do a little chat. Hey, Ann, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm over here pushing buttons I don't need to be pushing. My eyes are starting to cross. Yeah, me in a marathon. What do y'all think when I come up with these ideas? That's what I want to know. When I call you, let's interview 20 plus women for International Women's Day, do you go, has she lost her mind? Do you stare at the phone? What do you think?
Well, I think you typically know I asked you a series of questions. Is the time worth it? What could you be doing? How are we going to use it? Then I do that little spreadsheet thing in my head and say, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens is, okay. You and I, we talked a little bit earlier today, and we talked about that we have grandkids now. You have a great, really cute little great. What is your hope? For me, I'm hoping that one of them will step up and take this over from us and we can go fishing or something. But what is your hope will happen in the later generations? Do you want them to be entrepreneurs? Do you want them to follow in your footsteps in the military? How about that?
I want them to be them. If they go in the military route, obviously been there, done that. I can encourage it for a variety of reasons, but it's not the same military that I or even you were a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, my great grand and grandkids, or daughter and husband, are taking off to Tennessee in a couple 3 weeks, and they're going to. He's a brilliant little child, just like your little Carson. They're going to homeschool. They want to get a farm. They want to be one with the land. You know, that's kind of cliche, I guess. But they just want to be themselves and be able to take care of themselves and not have to rely on, oh, they're out of toilet paper, or, you know, they don't have, there's, you know, you can only buy 3 things of meat, and I can't do too much about the toilet paper thing, but unless they grow corn. But now I'm showing my age when they talk about corn. You know, so I'm definitely older than most everybody that's been on here today with the outhouses.
Hey, you and I are a few years apart, but I know all about the corn thing. So yes, okay, go ahead.
So the fact, you know, when I take a look that it's International Women's Day, and it goes back years and years, and how women have come up and through, and it reminds me a little bit about when I was on the ship and we were in Saudi Arabia, and we went to shore. Women there were not allowed to drive. I think all of that's changed over the last 20 years, but women weren't even allowed to drive because the policemen were men, and in their culture, men are not allowed to talk to women that are not part of their family. You know, there's a whole culture thing behind that. So if there was a traffic violation, they couldn't talk to them. And they were even required to have their own banks. But again, that's been 1991, 92 was when I was over there. So that's been 30 years. Freaking years. So things have changed a little bit. I think I have recently heard that they are able to drive now. But it's just I was thinking about this morning is what I experienced, what you experience, what my granddaughter is experiencing as women is so totally different in today's world. Like I referred to earlier, when I was in the military, there were a handful of career fields for women. Now we've got Black Hawk pilots. We've got
I know,
women
what's on today?
Yeah. Then we've got ones that are captains of ships. So we've made strides as women, and I think we've got a ways to go. But also, when you talked about that number 9, I'm going to go a little metaphysics on you, kind of pull a little bit of Cindy in on you. Is we're actually going into, starting in 2024, a 20-year period of, I'll call it, women power. There's a 20-year cycle, and that one that's coming up is a period 9, is what they call it. And again, it's a scientific, based on energies, based on stars, based on, you know, the planets, all the 9, you know, all of that. But we're in that transition now, actually. But in 2024, there will be 20 years where women dominate. So it's coming. Our time
somewhere
is coming.
Cindy is right now screaming and yelling. I know she's out there just losing her mind, going, yes, that's what I'm talking about, right there. You know, and that's why when we first met Cindy, I wanted you to do the interview with her because you understood all of that. But by me interviewing her and by me getting to know her, you've been talking to me about this stuff forever. And I just go, okay, Ann will take care of it. You know, I never really like dug in. And now I'm starting to really get it and understand it and follow it. And it's pretty neat. It really, really is pretty neat. I'm going to change gears on you. I want to talk about Now for Life. I mean, we've got Now for Life coming up in May 10th through the 12th. It's going to be the first time we do that. And I realized today that's 8 weeks away. Yeah, I better get back to the gym. That's 8 weeks away, and it's 3 days, and we're going to be again honoring women. But we're honoring 6 women who have completely blazed the trail in their environment, one way or another,
Right.
from being a legend, being a woman of the year. I want to tell who the woman of the year is, but I got to keep all that. I got to keep it. To influencers, I mean, we're really going to have some real heavy hitters on this. But the idea behind it all is to teach and answer some of these questions that people have been asking us for, I don't know, 20 plus years. We've been doing it. As females in technology, how do you do that? As female entrepreneurs, how do you do that? So we're going to be teaching that kind of stuff, how to get over your fear and not let no stop you and all of that. How are you feeling about Now for Life?
Well, I think it's a movement. We've heard that term movement over the last year considerably, and I evaluated it. At first, I didn't put a lot of stock into it, but I'm seeing that what we are going to do with Now for Life, Network of Outstanding Women, is we're starting a movement, and that just couples in with the next 20 years of it being, I still call it woman power, in the fact that our time has come. Isn't there a song out there, something like that?
There's a
You're the
few of
one
them,
that
yeah.
has all the artists.
Yeah, there's a few of them
And
out
so
there.
I'm feeling, yeah, I'm feeling really jazzed about it. I believe starting virtually is great. If not next year, the following year, having it here in Las Vegas, I don't think we could be based in a better place to have it.
Right,
The
right.
venues rock around here,
Yep.
and they may look entirely different in 2 years when we get back to it, but I believe that we are in fact on a journey of a movement to help women overcome, to
Mm-hmm.
help them see, to acknowledge, recognize their story, get their story out, whether it's video, podcast, writing a book. And by all the resources that we're going to be able to put in front of them for the taking, because a lot of it is they just don't know where to turn.
Right.
And we're going to put a resource hub together, if you will, bar none, that will outdo anybody. And there's one-stop shopping for all of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm so excited about it. We'll be doing some live streams and interviews throughout between now and May 10th to just kind of get people ready for what's coming. But you're not going to be ready. I mean, we're going to have a virtual live studio audience with our Zoom connection now, thanks to being a leaper and being a part of Sage. So we're excited about that. And then coming up next is one of my coaches, and she doesn't take any mess. She says no cluttering your life. She's going to come out here. I'm hoping she'll be a part of Now for Life and helping these people understand they can do it. Because I've had so many people in my life tell me, oh, well, yeah, you can do that. You know, T, you can do it. You know, you're you. And they have amazing stories and amazing talents, and they never really see them all the way through because they've been told so many times that they can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So true.
it's just
So true.
it's
So
sad. It's, you know, and yes, you can, and that's what I want everybody to get from today. You know, we've had people on already, Germany, couple from Canada, one from Mexico, and also by way of Boulder City, but now she's in Mexico. You know, I mean, the
yeah.
Carolinas, California. We're covering the planet. We got Indonesia coming up later. You know, we're covering the planet here today. And all the women have pretty much the same message. They're blazing their trail and they're telling you, you can blaze yours too. You know, what do you think about the fact that I think I'm crazy? I think I'm crazy for doing 27, but I really want to set a record. I think that I want to get a bunch of women together. Maybe NJ will be one of them. We'll have to ask her. and we do like a marathon that lasts a weekend or something where we just nonstop just interviewing entrepreneurs and finding out their message. We have to include the guys in that one too, because we got some friends out there like Scott Carson and others that are going to be like, wait a minute, this is what I do. Bring me on. What do you think of doing something like that?
Well, we have to go through those questions again.
And this is why she's my captain.
As long as there's a goal and a purpose and there's a definitive outcome, not just be a record breaker for 48 hours to interview 120 people. We'll see. We can see that
way. Wow. I never thought about how many people that would be. Okay, when you put it that way, maybe we don't do that. I know Alan's at home going, no! I can just imagine. This is why we didn't give Alan the link, because he'd be on right now screaming no. I want to thank you for coming on and just kind of sitting with me for a minute. NJ is waiting in the virtual green room. We're going to bring her up next. Thanks, Ann, for putting up with all my craziness and helping me make all of my dreams come true. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, so coming up next is one of my coaches, and she'll flat out tell you no clutter. If you're doing something that she doesn't understand or it doesn't make sense or just does not add up, she will definitely tell you, I don't think so. How about we rethink this? And this is why I will follow this woman anywhere, because I know she's going to tell it to me in the real way. And now she's about to tell it to you. Welcome, NJ, what's happening?
Hi. Hello, everyone. Oh,
What's
hi,
going
Ann.
on?
Oh, hello. How about that?
What's going on with you?
Not too much. I'm like, oh, my light here is a little busted. We'll see. That's a little worse. Sorry. We're professionals. We're professionals here. It's fine. It's fine. We're professionals. You know what my shirt says? What would Dolly do? She would just be like, we're good. I
love that shirt.
Thank you.
I got it. Get that shirt.
This is from Draper James, which is a store in Nashville. It is owned by Reese Witherspoon. And it's this cute little boutique that is somewhere, I don't know, around by the donut place that has like the cronut donut that is like super famous that everyone goes to.
Right.
So you can go get the cronut donut, the Five Daughters Bakery, I think it's called. And then right down the road is Draper James, where you can get your dolly gear.
But I'd have to get my dolly gear a size bigger after eating all the donuts.
Yeah, I mean, you just have one, right? Just in moderation.
See what you're doing to me? Okay, you're a coach. I've already said that. You're also an entrepreneur. You're a mom. How are you balancing all that? And you're not just a coach. You're not coaching, Little League or Girl Scouts. You're coaching crazy entrepreneurs like me and trying to keep us on track. So how are you balancing all of that?
I don't. That's the honest answer is I don't. And the reason why I don't balance it all is because in order for something to be balanced, look at this, my microphone is like halfway in, halfway out. In order for something to be balanced, it automatically implies that it is equitable, that it is evenly weighted, and that the weight is evenly distributed, right? Like if you think about balance on scales, like if you're going to balance something, it automatically implies that something else is not balanced. And so I just take myself completely out of the running. I don't want anything to be balanced ever, because it implies that something is out of balance. Something has to give in order for the other to be balanced. So instead, what I recommend that every woman do, every person do, if they want to achieve and perform at a high level, is instead do two things. The first thing that you want to do is be integrated, right? You want to know why you're doing all the things that you're doing and how they all weave and wobble and work together. You want to know how do they integrate? How do you make one thing fold into your life, right? So my friend Sarah Morrison was on here earlier.
Yep, she was on earlier.
She was on earlier. She's got a pile of kids. She's got a couple of dogs.
I didn't know about the dogs.
She's got 2 dogs. She's got 6 kids, 2 dogs, and 1 husband. And so she'll always say, like, I can only spin so many plates. I can only spin so many plates in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say instead, and this is top secret, I have never really shared this publicly. And so you guys can get it. I'll tell you.
I'm
okay.
ready.
So she says spin plates. I say juggle balls, right? Like, how many balls can you throw in the air? And if you think about it, you toss a ball up and then it comes back down to you, right? Now, the trick is to juggling balls is not to juggle lots of balls, but to know what kind of balls you're working with. And there are 3 types of balls. There are glass balls. What happens if you drop a glass ball?
Shatters.
It shatters, right? And so those are, they shatter. And so those are your most important things to your life, right? Your family, your close relationships. If you are an entrepreneur, maybe it is like your clients that you're serving at the highest level. It is something that you know that if you take your eye off of it and you let it go and it drops, it shatters, there are immediate and harmful ramifications. So that's ball type number 1. Ball type number 2 is a rubber ball. What happens to a rubber ball when you drop it?
It bounces.
It bounces back and you catch it again and you toss it again, right? And so your rubber balls are the things that matter to you but aren't like mission critical. So I might, for example, I might say, no, honey, I'm sorry, I can't tuck you into bed tonight because I have a client meeting. But I promise you, I will be there tomorrow night and I will lay with you while you fall asleep and we'll say our prayers and we'll sing our songs, right? If I do that repeatedly over time, that can become a glass ball. But I can say no and I can pick it up and catch it on the next turn, right?
I'm totally with that.
That's the second kind of ball. The third type of ball is the one that in my observation, it's the hardest for women to really, really, really understand. And that is the hacky sack. What happens
when you kick with your feet?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But what happens if a hacky sack hits the ground?
It just goes flat. It doesn't do anything.
Flat. Yeah. It doesn't do anything, right?
Right.
It does not shatter. It does not bounce up. It's dead. It's dead, right?
Yep.
And so when it comes to work-life balance and life balance, I am very, very clear about the dead balls that could possibly be in my life. That if I say no to something, I'm not saying no out of scarcity. I am saying no because it's a dead ball. I don't have the margin to juggle it. I have to be okay with letting it roll away, even if it's something that is a really, 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 really good thing. So a perfect example of this is a few years ago, we were in a brand new faith community and I was invited by the pastor's wife, which if you've ever been to church, you know what the big deal it is. The pastor's wife.
Pastor's wife, yeah.
Right. She invited me into a year-long mentorship program with her where it was myself and a handful of other women where we met. We were going to meet monthly. We were going to have a book club. We were going to have like some time together. There was some homework, all of this stuff. And I said yes, because at the time it was really aligned and it really, really served me. And I was really excited. But then I started working full time and I started traveling full time and I couldn't make the meetings anymore. And I couldn't keep up with the book reading anymore because I was choosing on Saturday mornings to go to my kids' soccer games instead of going to the church lady Bible study. And guess what happened? I gently got kicked out. Just very, very, very graciously. Hey, you signed up for this thing and we love you so much, but it was a year-long thing and you're not reading the books or doing the homework. And so maybe this isn't the best fit for you. Right. And so she was right. It was a great thing. That became a dead ball. And I had to be okay with that being like a dead ball and walking away from it and not feeling shame or embarrassment or carrying something that didn't need to be carried anymore. So when you ask about how I get it all done, I am very, very, very clear as to what balls I am currently juggling. And I am always pruning to look to see what I can take away. So one of my favorite sayings to say is, it's Thursday. What can I quit today?
Okay. Can I steal that? I like
Please.
that. I absolutely like that. So you have a podcast show, correct?
I do have a podcast.
And you also have a business. You work with Christian moms. So does the podcast and the business work together, or are they two separate subjects?
It's all one.
Okay.
So my podcast is called Working Christian Mom, and it is a podcast that helps women thrive in the people, places, and passions that God has given them. Because I was a newer mom and I worked full time, and I searched high and low to find other moms like me who were working, who were loving their family, who were just doing all the things. I didn't fit in because all of my mom friends at church were stay-at-home moms, and I was left feeling less than and left out. So I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made it myself.
So you made it yourself?
I made it myself.
I love you. She's like, so I made it myself. So when is it on? How do they find it? If you're a Christian mom, you want to join, can you join it? I mean, talk to me.
Yeah, sure. So it's workingchristianmom.com.
Okay.
And I just noticed, let's talk about for one hot second about how messy of a last name I have and how I can't ever spell my own name correctly.
I thought I misspelled it.
No, I misspelled it. The story of my life. It says, how do you want to come into the broadcast studio? Yes, let's add 7 extra N's to my name today, please. No, that's me. So workingchristianmom.com is where the podcast is. And in full transparency and full honesty, there hasn't been a new episode in a few months, but #I've been a little busy. But the real place to find us right now is the Working Christian Mom Facebook community, where there are over 2,400 other working moms who are active and there and supportive and having conversations. It is a hyper engaged group. Out of those 2,400 moms, last week 1,700 were active, just crazy. So if you are a working mom of faith and you're needing some mom friends, come find us.
That is so awesome. Now, before I let you go, we need to talk about, your coaching, because I don't follow just anybody. And I had other coaches before you, and I got, I'm part of 2 Comma. We talked about it with Sarah and ClickFunnels and all of that. And I love your style. You have such a style and a way of, you don't beat us over the head with a club, but you definitely let us know when we're going in the right direction. How do you handle the entrepreneurs? Because we're coming in there thinking we're going to take over the world, and you have to guide us back into reality and then push us forward on the right track. How do you handle that?
Well, I like to think of myself as the nicest mean person you'll ever meet. And so really, I am like this all the time. Tika will tell you, I am always like this. And I really feel that it is my duty to steer people back to the path that they need to be following, but to do it in a way that doesn't make them feel shame, or feel like they're less than, or like they're not good enough. I want them to always leave being empowered, to have clarity, and to know what their next right steps are. And so my signature phrase a lot of times is I can't co-sign with that. I can't sign off on that. You need to go do this other thing. And I think that it's one of those things where it's people either love me or they hate me. And I just hope that most people love me.
some people that are watching right now from all over the world, I hope, is, they're just getting started on this entrepreneurial journey. They just stuck the toe in the water. They may have been forced to do it because of COVID and their job situation changed, or their brick and mortar situation changed, and now they find themselves being virtual. How would you tell them to get started, to just kind of build their way up to the point where they could come out and hang out with somebody like NJ, who's really going to say, not that, I'm not co-signing with that, get away from over there? How would you tell them to get started?
What I would do, honestly, like, this is one of my favorite questions, and I'm so glad that you asked. Okay, so we all know the story of David and Goliath, right? We've all heard that fable, Bible story, parable, whatever, pick your flavor. We've all heard the story, right?
Yep.
David and Goliath. Goliath is this big giant guy. He's going to kill everybody. Everybody in the army is terrified of, like, Goliath, who's about to eat them.
Right.
And then here comes this little, like, scrappy kid, right? And he's like, at first he's like, yeah, I'll defeat you. What are you going to do? Why are you talking this stuff? Like, you're not going to, like, stop saying bad stuff about my homies. I'm going to kill you. And, like, Goliath is like, ha, 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 you're not going to kill me. And everybody in the army is like, he's going to kill you. He's going to kill you. And so they, like, try to put the armor on him, and they try to, like, armor him up before he goes and, like, defeats Goliath. And he says, that doesn't fit. That's not right. That doesn't work for me. That isn't going to work for me to defeat Goliath. And what he says instead is, like, I'm going to take these tools that I already know how to use, and I'm going to use those tools, right? I'm going to use these tools, and I'm going to use them in a new, fresh way. So what does he do? He takes the slingshot that was in his hand. But what we don't know, right? We know that he takes the slingshot and he pops him in the head, right? And that he does that, and the giant falls, and hip, hip, hooray. That's the end of the story. But what people don't understand about David is he was never supposed to even be there in the first place. He was supposed to be home with his family. He was the littlest brother. He was the, as some people say, the runt of the litter, the little guy. And his dad had sent him to the army encampment with snacks to give his brothers. Right? And so, no, he was there because he was bringing snacks to his brother. He was bringing cheese and crackers, right? And so the moral of the story here, and what I would tell any entrepreneur that is struggling, is you need to do two things.
Okay.
Number
one,
you need to write what was already in your hand. In David's hand was cheese and crackers that he gave to his brothers, a slingshot, and some rocks, right? Mm-hmm. That was the first thing, right? Yep. The second thing I would say to any entrepreneur is don't take yourself out of the running, right? David fully believed that he was going to smash Goliath in the head and defeat him. And I think a lot of times what happens is we disqualify ourselves long before other people disqualify us. And so if we walk into that situation or into that room believing that we're going to slay the giants, we will, and everyone else will believe us.
NJ, you are awesome. I know I have a coaching session with you tomorrow, so I will see you tomorrow. But I want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I know your schedule is crazy busy, but I thank you. And thanks for coming on International Women's Day Marathon. You are awesome. You rock.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so coming up next, if you had a chance to watch last week's show, you saw Queenie. And Queenie, one, has the coolest name on the planet. I'm going to say it every time I see her. She's probably sick of hearing it. On the other side of that, she really understands the power of generational wealth. And I said, you got to come on International Women's Day, and we got to talk about this more. So let's welcome Queenie to the show. Hey, Queenie, what's happening?
Hey, Tigo. What's going on? How are you?
What's going on with you? It's so good to see you.
You too. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. I'm so happy and so proud you could come and hang out with me again. You have a message, and what's really cool about your message is that you're so young. You know, usually if I had the power and the brain power and the drive that you have at your age, man, I'd be so much further down the road. You know, you have a drive and a passion, you and your husband. You're both running two separate businesses at the same time and raising a little cute little human on top of that. You know, that is the coolest thing ever. What got you involved in understanding and knowing that you needed to know the power of generational wealth?
Honestly, that phrase you just had, wishing that you had learned it when you were younger, I felt the same. I still feel the same. And I know I'm not that old yet. I know.
Yeah,
but
you're
I
way ahead of the game.
feel it, right? I wish I would have started when I was 10 years old. And I'm so passionate about this because I honestly think it's accessible to everyone. Wealth creation is for everyone. The only difference is that it's a choice. It has to be a choice and you have to choose it. And for me, it was about family. I didn't actually care before I got married, before I had kids, but after these things came along, I realized I needed a foundation. I needed a foundation that I can build off of, that my family, my husband, or my little one can build off of, because I want to be able to set her up.
You know, somebody commented on your post from your episode last Saturday, and they were talking about taxing kids. I have gotten so many people that have contacted and said, really? They're going to steal from their kid and then tax them? You know? Can you expound just a little bit on that?
Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. You can't shelter your kids at the point where when it comes to the real world, they don't actually have the real life experience. You can give them money for allowance, that's great, but they need to understand what it's like to earn and work for it. And even when you have a job or a business, it doesn't matter. As long as you're earning money, taxes are a certainty. You can't escape it. You can't avoid it in whatever country you are. So, I get people are commenting, and I'm glad it's triggering a reaction because it's something I wish I was taught. If I was taught to put aside a certain amount for taxes, I'd be much further ahead. And if people understood that, passing it down to their children, maybe we'd be less in debt because we're more prepared.
Okay, see, and I was just I thought you were just gonna say I was kidding. It was funny. No, you were serious.
No, I am so serious.
and you're actually doing this, and now it makes perfect sense. Now I want to tax my grandchildren. I got to get that past their parents. So I'll explain it. I'll have you call them and explain it. But that's amazing. Now, if somebody is in their 20s and they're not even thinking about investment, savings, taxes, anything to do with generational wealth, what would you do to kind of snap them into reality? Because now would be the time, wouldn't it? Get started when you're young?
It's always better to start when you're young because compound interest is king. However, that being said, it still has to be a choice. So if you're young and all this is super boring to you, that's okay too. It's not something like you need. I know people that make $40K a year and they're so happy. And I know millionaires that are miserable. Yeah, right? So when I say wealth is a choice, it really comes down to what is your relationship with money? Because you have to heal that. You have to forgive that first, because that didn't come from us, right? We have parents giving us values and all those things. But for people that are interested and have wealth creation in their radar, I recommend the 5 cores principle. And that includes banking, credit, debt, investment, and insurance. That gives you the foundation you need.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to explain how. How does that give you the foundation you need?
It gives you the foundation because in those 5 cores, you have what to do with your money, how to earn your money, how to make your money make money for you, and protection. So it covers, it's like a house. You need a foundation first before you can build off. So these 5 cores tackle all of those areas. So then by the time your foundation is set, you don't actually have to think about it, because nobody likes thinking about their budget 24 hours in a day. Like, that's not sustainable, right? I don't know why we do that to ourselves. But the point is, you set your foundation, and it's something that can be done in under 60 days if there's the commitment. And once you have that set, then you can start building on it and put it out of your mind. Because wealth is about becoming. It's not a checklist of to-dos.
Wealth is about becoming. Okay. So how important is credit cards? Because a lot of people think credit cards are the evil thing that you should stay away from forever. And you love them.
I do.
Why?
I think credit cards are like my best friend, because it's other people's money that I'm using to help me make money. I'm gonna say that one more time. You are using.
It just went ding, ding, ding in my head. Go ahead.
You're using someone else's money to help you make money. There are a few things. There are credit utilization that you can help build your credit score. There are credit card features. You know, those fine prints nobody wants to read, but you get cold hard cash if you actually read them. And there's honestly so many benefits, because credit is a must in life. Debt, however, is not.
Okay, wait. How are you using credit cards to make money? I understood what you said about using other people's money, meaning the credit cards, to actually earn money. But you actually use credit cards in various ways. How are you doing that?
So I love that you mentioned, I'm actually creating a webinar right now that dives deep into this. But right off the bat, credit card companies actually are paying you to get a credit card with them, like American Express, Capital, like there's so many, Chase. And the thing is, you have to be disciplined, right? It's not like a shopping spree. You just go, woo, I'm just gonna keep swiping this. But each set of card or each credit card has their own features and benefits. Some have rewards like travel, some are cash back, right? If you're already using that money every month, like your internet, your car, your phone bill, that money isn't getting you anything in return. But if I put that on a credit card with money I already have to pay it back, now I'm earning money.
Because of like the points
my
and
bills.
things?
Yes. There's points for travel. There's points for cash back. So I was talking to a client, and she had no idea that her card gives her cold cash. Like, she doesn't have to use the rewards for travel. They will pay her cash. It's those little things that add up. And an example, it has to fit your lifestyle, right? Like if you like travel, get a travel card. Don't just get a cashback card, for example. Also, I stopped paying for car washes because they're all points. I haven't paid for a car wash in about 2 years.
So you use your card, then pay your card later, and then you get the points on your credit card to use towards something else. Have I got that right?
Exactly. At this point, I've made over $6,000 and counting just through credit cards.
So how important are credit cards for businesses? You know, you have your personal credit cards, right? Should you also be doing that for your business as well?
You should be doing it for your business to build your credit. So you want to actually be more mindful when it's business, because in a business, you have to look at things as cash flow, right? It's not just about how much you have. It's how much can you spend right now that's liquid. But in terms of building your business credit, in theory, it works the same. So what are expenses that you have to pay for your business? You know, for example, Zoom, right? We're using StreamYard now, but I'm sure there's a paid version of this that you pay.
Yeah. We're on the paid version. I paid for a year and I didn't use, or did we? We might have to ask Ann. We might have used a credit card for this, but we paid for a year in advance. And what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Think about it this way. We're in a pandemic right now, but post-pandemic, all of these business expenses you could treat your team to a lunch purely from the credit rewards that you're getting. There are so many ways. Yeah, if you like to eat, which I do.
So what tip would you give a young family? Because I know you got to get out of here, and I thank you so much for cutting out some time again, because we just met a couple of weeks ago. But what advice would you give a young family such as yourself, where you're just kind of building your way? You're trying to buy your first house, maybe a car, or put money away for the little one's future. What would you tell them to do to get started?
For anyone looking to get started, credit utilization, bring it down to under 30% is a really good start. Meaning you don't have to pay off 100% of your credit card to increase your credit, to build on it. All you need is to bring it under 30% utilization. That's a start. That's going to help with your debt. That's going to help you extend your credit and leverage it. And honestly, you pay less interest at the end of the day.
Wow.
And you're not stressing out. That's the biggest thing. You don't have to stress out thinking, I have to pay 100% of this card and then never use it again. That's actually worse.
Well, I want to thank you. And, you're becoming one of my new best friends. I know I'm going to be calling you going, what do I do with this? How do I do this? I'm so glad you could come and hang out for a few minutes. You still have the coolest name on the planet. Thank you so much for coming on, Queenie. You are the best.
I appreciate it, Tigo. Thank you for this time.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So coming up, we're going to talk to somebody. Have you thought about having your own show? I know, because y'all contact me and say, how do I do that? How do I do this? We got somebody who's kind of she definitely has mastered exactly how to get published, produced, what podcasts are, why you need them, all that kind of stuff. Coming to the show right now at this very moment, Michelle Abraham, what's happening?
Hey, Tika, thanks for having me. So excited
Thanks
to be
for
here.
being on. This is great. I've been looking forward to you coming on. We've had a couple of messages go by, and that's about it. Wonderful virtual world during COVID. But I wanted to talk with you right now. You have an agency, right?
Yes.
And one of your agency specialties is what we're doing right now, is actually publishing media.
Absolutely.
How did you get into it, and what's the value of it?
Oh my gosh, there's so much value in this right now. Like, just the timing for all of this media is perfect. So funny enough, how I got into podcasting was back in 2012 when I became a new mom, and I was on the floor, and I had a previous business before. I was on the floor with my baby, and my business brain, I realized, had gone to mush. So I was looking for something to do to activate that brain again while still being a great mom. So I turned on this thing called Apple TV, and there was this little purple app on there, and sure enough, there's some podcasts on there. So I started listening to, at the time, these shows were just brand new. Eventual Millionaire by Jamie Tardy, or Amy Porterfield's Online Marketing Made Easy. And my brain all of a sudden was like, yes, this is great. I can still be a great mom and play on the floor, but also listen to some great podcasts and get that activated again. Then I noticed it was in my car. Then I noticed I could pop my earbuds in and take my son for a walk. So every Monday I'd wait for those episodes to drop. So I became a huge listener fan first. And then I saw the power of this platform and how recognized I was. So I'd ask my mom friends, well, what podcasts do you listen to? They'd be like, what the heck are you talking about? What's the podcast? I can say halfway now that they kind of know what they are now, like 10 years later, but
I mean, it's still growing. I personally believe that podcasts are in their infancy still. I mean, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot more coming. But I love I call it cross-pollinating when it comes to media. We're on traditional television, and then we're doing audio and video podcasts as well, and then live streams every once in a while. So I think it, especially since COVID, has become this humongous, vehicle for us to all kind of stay connected. And you offer a service, and I should say you've done this over 200 times. You offer a service where you kind of build podcasts for the client, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So we help them like craft from idea with adding our strategy of knowing what works and what doesn't. And we take them from idea to iTunes, literally. And we do everything as a done for you package. So we will do a lot of the creation of everything in the show, like their artwork and editing the show and all that kind of thing. So all they really need to, their input is in the creative side of it, which is what they like, and the content.
So what happens, because I run into it, I'm sure you do too, where people go, I have this great idea for a show, or I know I have a message to get out there, but they're terrified of the mic, or they're terrified of the camera, or they just don't think they're ready yet. How do you get them over that hump?
Yeah, those are some real things. I mean, I always talk about there's like 4 things that stop people from ever getting started. That's fear, fear of being heard, fear of like, oh my gosh, like fear of too many people are going to hear me, fear of analysis and paralysis, like by thinking about it too much, the time commitment that it takes, and then maybe the amount of equipment that you need. So my thoughts on all those are to get over some of those fears of people who feel like they're not quite ready, is to just getting to ask some action. So just start taking small steps towards what you want to do. And first of all, try to figure out what you want to talk about. Because if you can peel back the onion far enough, as we like to say, in your story and what the topic is, then you should not run out of ideas. So if you can only come up with maybe 20 things you want to talk about around a topic, then maybe you haven't dug down far enough yet. And so once you hit that jackpot, you'll be able to talk for hours and days and years on the same subject and never get bored of it.
How do you know you have a good idea? And you know how some people will say, well, somebody's already done that, so I'm not going to do that show, because that I personally think there's probably not an idea that hasn't been done one way or another in a podcast. It doesn't mean that the next person can't do it differently or better, or, you know, just change the game, change the background, you know, something. How do you know if you have a good idea and it's a great thing to put out as a podcast?
Absolutely. Well, I think we say the first thing is look and see if that idea is already being used somewhere. If it is, that's actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And then secondly, we always say that your unique genius is what will make your podcast stand out. So no one, even if someone has the same idea as you, they're not going to do it in the same way as you. You're your own. Your uniqueness is your genius. So it's going to be, nobody else is going to be able to do it the same way that you do it. Put your own unique spin on it.
What's the timeline? You say done for you podcast. What's the timeline between initial contact with you and having a great idea and actually getting published?
Yeah, we like to say 30 days. That's typically where we usually sit. 30 days is our program, is what we call it. And usually we're within the 30 days to get people launched. And, you know, some people like to take a little bit longer. I really do believe this is not a process you can be rushed. It's not a process that you can really, you know, it's kind of like birthing something, right? As you know, this is your creativity. You got to birth it. There's got to be divine timing. So sure, it might take a little bit longer, but we're there to help them from start to finish on it.
Now, you were number 16, I read. You were number 16 podcast in the podcast magazine, correct?
That's right. Yeah, Top Moms in Podcasting last May.
Wow. And what are you talking about?
Yeah, so it's funny. On my show, I don't talk about anything to do with moms. We talk about podcasting. So on my show, we talk about how 2 different shows. So I have within the Amplify You podcast, we have 2 different kinds of shows. One is Ask the Experts, which is people who are amazingly knowledgeable on a particular topic to come in and help our podcasters kind of work with it. For example, we had someone talking about SEO for podcasting the other day. So our audience are mostly podcasters or people who want to podcast, or coaches, authors, speakers, someone with a big message. So then the other side of the interviews that we do is behind the mic. So we get to find out from the people who have launched, what was that like? What are you using for equipment? What was that process like? What have you learned since podcasting, and how has it helped your business? So we have 2 different kind of interviews that we do on our show.
Are you looking for new clients? I mean, do you have a cap with the number of clients you take on? Because podcast is not something you do once. You know, I'm assuming they're publishing at least a couple of times a month. You know, is there a certain limit that you're looking for? Or?
No, like we can take on clients whenever clients are ready to get started. And what we do is we do the launching your podcast first, and then we offer something that's unique called podcast management. So we actually have a dedicated podcast manager on your team that looks after just your show and your show each week. So every time you record a show, you send us the raw file. Our team will edit it, put it together, mix it all together, makes it sound great, give you some social media content to promote it out, and publish it for you.
Well, this is International Women's Day, and that's the reason why we're doing this marathon, because I wanted to feature women from all over the world that's doing all kinds of fun stuff like you're doing.
Amazing.
And I'm asking the same question to the moms, because if you were number 16 for your mom podcast, I'm assuming you're a mom.
Yes, I am.
So how are you balancing entrepreneur, client, mom, and everything that's going crazy in the world right now? How are you balancing all of that?
Oh my gosh, yes, with a lot of support. Let's just put it that way. So I no longer can be the one person that does everything in the house, right? So we've had to share the responsibility amongst everybody involved. And, my daughter did start kindergarten this year. So that has been a huge help getting the second one out the door to school. So, I feel like I've had a little bit more freedom to work this year than I have in the past. But, my family always comes first. So I've designed a business and a lifestyle where my family comes first. We live off the grid. We live on a lake where we spend a lot of time outdoors. So our family first, a lot of time with family. And then we built a business from our house where we can then work around those hours that the kids are at school or around the times that then I'm not missing out on time with my kids.
Can we shift gears real quick and talk about equipment and gear? Because I get it. I'm sure you get it as well. People saying that they just don't have the right gear right now. They don't have the right mic. They don't have this. They don't have that. If they're just getting started, what do they need?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I look at podcasting, when I think about podcasting, I have this picture of this table full of microphones and cords and lights and all these crazy things. But literally, all you need is a laptop or computer with the internet access. A lot of our clients record right on Zoom and a microphone. And the microphones, this one here I have here is a Blue Yeti, and it is a great microphone for under $200. So, it's great. Just get started, and a headset and some earbuds. So that's all you really need to do to actually get started. You can always upgrade your equipment, upgrade your setting as you get more successful. I've added some lights. I've added a few boom lifts and a few other things to my setup. But it's pretty basic, and it does the trick.
And where do you learn the skill level? People tell me that, well, you can do this because you've been in production for 18 years. I don't know what to say. And I tell them it's a conversation. It's like you're talking on the phone. There's no set skill. Everybody has their own style. How do you get them to find their style and get comfortable?
Practice. And, I think that's something, finding their voice, first of all. Finding your voice is going to take a few times if it's not something you've explored or expressed a lot before. So finding your voice, finding that cadence of how you feel comfortable. And then when you're interviewing someone, really working on your listening skills and listening to what they're saying rather than focusing on what questions you're going to ask them next. I think those are the two best things I can offer for advice. And that's coming from past experience.
So if you were not here and not doing your podcast business and your agency, what would you be doing? What is that one thing that if you could just get an extra 20 minutes in a day that you would run off and do?
Oh my gosh, I think I would jump in my kayak and paddle around the lake. So I just love being out in the water. We live so close to it. So trying to get out for a break and in the nice sunshine and go out for a kayak, I think would be what I would be doing.
That's amazing. Well, I just want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending a little bit of time. You and I are going to meet virtually later in the week, I hope, because we got a few things coming up that I think will be awesome for us to work together. Happy International Women's Day. I hope you're taking a few minutes. Same to you. I hope you're taking a few minutes for yourself, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me here, Tigo. This has been awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, I have a quick question for you. Do you want a professional agency to handle all your video creation, syndication, and monetization needs? We totally understand that new leads and customers are the lifeblood for any business. And if you're looking to grow or scale your business, using video is definitely the best way to go. Here at Melrose 11, we specialize in getting you the results you need to help you grow your business by generating new leads, driving more traffic, and closing more sales without breaking your bank. Did you know, according to HubSpot, having a well-targeted video on your landing page can increase conversions by up to 80%? Yeah, and up to 64% of users are more likely to buy a product online after watching video than by text alone. And that 92% of mobile users share videos with others. And 90% of users say that videos are helpful in their purchase decision making. Incorporating video into your marketing and social media activity is no longer an option, it's an absolute requirement if you're looking for long-term success. Heck, it may even be essential for the very survival of a business. Here at Melrose 11, media truly is our passion. We create animated explainer videos, social teasers, catchy intros, full HD commercials, and even viewer interactive videos. So, if you're looking to elevate your brand, or attract more leads, generate more sales, increase traffic, or build up more exposure for your business, then you've definitely come to the right place. Our professional team will develop your video campaigns at an affordable price, with our fast turnaround times, and a quality of work that can't be beat. We look forward.
Hey everybody, you know where you are, Expert Talk with Tigo, and today we're doing something special. I've been on since 8:30 Pacific this morning. I did take a break for a couple hours for lunch, but we're interviewing 27 women from around the world, and they're sharing their message about what they do, how they do it, why they choose to do it. And coming up next is a good friend of mine. This young lady it's probably 7 in the morning where she is. She's in Indonesia. This young lady, Sylvia Silvers, is amazing flat out. And she's really just starting to blaze her trail. She's a mom, she's an entrepreneur, and she's really cool. So sit right there and let's welcome Sylvia Silvers. What's happening,
Hi,
Sylvia?
Hi, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. What
How
time
long have
is
you
it
been
there?
online? 7 hours. You're crazy. How do you
What
feel?
time is it there?
It's almost 7 o'clock.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry. I should have done this better. So you didn't have to get up so early. How are
No.
you?
I'm fine. Great. Thank you.
You know, you and I have known each other for like almost 8 months, something like that. And your
Yes.
passion is truly helping people. And you've got 2 businesses going on right now. You
Yes.
got your consulting and coaching, and we'll get to that. But you also have a family business that you're running. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it's healthy food and beverage. We basically start our business from the kitchen, and now we started to export. And well, I didn't go to the office quite often anymore. I forget when did I last time I went there, because we already have a very solid team that run the daily business. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why I want to start the online coaching business.
So when you talk about, exporting, are you exporting to America yet? Where are you exporting to?
Yes, please. If someone wants to cooperate with us. No, now we export to Singapore. It's we have a funny story.
Okay.
Like 2 years ago, we went to Singapore. Basically, we introduced our products and everything, and then the distributor told us like, "Wow, your product's unique and it's very healthy and everything. And I know it's good products, but well, it's made in Indonesia. Like, Indonesia, not so many people are, they know about Indonesia. And then if you have products like made in USA or from Australia or Japan, it's different story. So that's how in the beginning they say no to our products, because we produce like in Indonesia. And then funny thing, when COVID hits the ground, and then they remember about our product, like we told them we can help with the immune system and everything,
Right.
use our products. And then they email us They said, hey, do you still do that product that you show us last time? And I said, yes, we want to import it right now. And then they did the paperwork within 2 days, like very fast. And then we scheduled. We were like, so we cannot say anything. 2 years we've been going here and there to do the meetings and everything. They keep saying no. And then because of this, and then suddenly, like, because of the COVID, 2 days done. And then the next week we exported.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I mean, some businesses that were not doing so well when all this stuff started with COVID are exploding. And some businesses that were exploding, like our tourism business here in Vegas, is really slowed down because of everything that's going on with COVID. But if you're a mom, you're married, you're a mom, you already have a business, but you have a passion for your coaching business. You have a passion for helping people. Where did that come from?
I think I learned so much from my parents. Well, my father and my mom, they grew up with very, very poor condition. They didn't even go to school. My father is the oldest boy in the family, so he have to basically helping the parents to work and to earn some money for the brothers and sisters, so they can go to school. So he has been like doing a lot of crazy stories. I could write book about his life, and then. But I remember like a lot of value that he teach us, especially about respecting everybody. I mean, like he never see here in Indonesia we have like so big gap between, well, you call wealthy people and poor people. But he never see people from this kind of perspective. I remember when I was small, we just had this very nice new sofa at home, and then one, very, very, you can say like when I was small, it was like I said like a very poor guy came to our house, and then wearing no sandals and everything and very dirty, and then my father just welcomed him and then asked him to sit in the sofa, and I was like, what? And then I asked him like, why you let him sit in that sofa? It's our new sofa and everything. And then he looked at me and then he said like, why not? And then until now, if you have some questions like this, he will just say like, why not? You think like because people look poor or because they're poor, they don't deserve this? And then they always, whatever people come to them and then ask for their help, they always help. Never judge people. And then this is something that I really learned from them. Like they are really one of my biggest inspiration.
You're finding your way. You have found your way now, exactly the direction you want to go with your coaching, with your other business. But I was watching you for months now, just figuring that out, just kind of find it out. There are people out there that are where you were last year or where you were 8 or 9 months ago, and they're just trying to figure out, should I go this way? Should I go that way? Should I go straight ahead? What would you say to them?
Get a coach. Get a good mentor. Because, well, to be honest, you are one of my mentor. Like, keep pushing me. And then, I really love to step out of my comfort zone. People always judge me like, you're crazy. And I do whatever I want to do. I do whatever, like, even it takes, everybody's sleeping and then I'm doing something because I believe, like, I have this fire. I will just keep doing it. Just do it. Just believe in yourself. And then you have to get a good mentor. This is what I keep telling myself, like, what did I do wrong this year? Because I didn't know, like, the who.
Yeah, that's important, knowing the who. But now I've got to ask you, what is it that you have decided you are doing with your coaching program? Because you're doing it now. I mean, you got your own podcast, you got clients setting up, you're doing it now. So what is it that your coaching program is based around?
Well, basically, because I'm a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur, and then I see a lot of the lack of this foundation that basic women entrepreneur has. I've been around the women entrepreneur, so many of them. In the beginning they will say like, I have to be a successful woman in my career, and then when they achieve that, they said something's missing. I lost my marriage, or my kids was like, they're not the best. They feel guilty about it, or they don't have the health. That's I feel like that's I'm very good at it. I have this. I know, like I'm a maverick, and I don't compromise. I've been in the backstage. I heard you are asking about the balance and everything. That's what I'm good at. If everybody who knows me, they will say like, how come you can run business, still your kids are out of the box? They're they so confident and everything, so lovely, and they can see that they love us, we love them and everything. And then your husband so in love, like just like boyfriend and a girlfriend. And then they keep asking me this kind of question, and I said like, why can't I help all those women out there to have the same feeling like I have, to live this kind of life? Yeah. That's what.
So where are you going with it? What are you doing? Because we already got your podcast. You're doing that, and you're interviewing people. You have a coaching program that you're putting together.
Yes.
Who exactly is your target audience?
My target audience is the out of the box women, wives, that they really probably they want to start their own business, or they are already starting their own business, and then they have this kind of doubt. Everybody said that doubt is bad, but I must say, in my journey, I love to doubt sometimes my perspective, because that's how I grow. A lot of message out there is about empowering women, or self-love, or body image. That's sometimes probably too powerful and confusing. So that's how I want to share the message, because I'm here in Indonesia. They call me Chinese because my ancestor comes from Chinese culture, right?
Right.
So Indonesia is we are a country of 1,000 islands, which is we have a lot of cultures. And then I marry a Estonian, a European. So I've been learning all these kind of cultures, and then I doubt my own. That I believe myself in this kind of perspective, so I doubt again, and then what can I learn from this and from that, and then I collect them all together to become to grow myself, to become really this kind of women that I desire. So that's I want from my audience, the women. You don't stick on the one perspective, or you believe your culture is the best, or your whatever it is. But open your mind, learn from everybody that you can learn, and then be your best version.
And how do you do that? What if you're from a culture, because you're in Indonesia now, right?
Yes.
And what if you're in a culture where they don't want you to, as a woman, to step out there and be out of the box? How do you get the courage and the energy to be able to face that? Because you got to get over that before you can do anything else, right?
Yes. Get out from that zone. Tigo, if you ask me, I never want to be in this kind of cage.
Okay.
I have this story that I had a basically almost 7 years boyfriend. He was very, very kind, very good person, from a very great family and everything. And but he wanna marry me like too soon, like right after we finished the university, right? And then I was thinking like, I want to do something. I still want to be someone. I still want to study and go to see the world. So what I did is I ran from Indonesia. I register. I check something, and then I ran to Taiwan.
Wow.
Yeah, just be brave. Just if you think that you are not happy in this kind of place, or in the state that you keep doubting, oh, I wish I could be this. Do it. Just do it. There is you can't just keep wishing, but you don't take action, you will stay in the same spot.
I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning in Indonesia to come on here and hang out with me for a few minutes. I am super proud of you. You know that. I think you're family, and I just love everything you're doing with Out of the Box Women. You're giving them what International Women's Day is all about. You're giving them an avenue that they can actually get out of that box and be able to live their dream and focus over the horizon. And I'm super proud of you. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today.
Thank you, Tigo, and see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you real soon. You are the best. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. You guys don't know, I have been doing this. In case you didn't know, I started at 8:30 this morning. We took a lunch break and we came back. We're talking to 27 powerful women from around the world. I've had somebody on from Germany, a couple from Canada, Mexico, just now Indonesia, all over the country, from the Carolinas to California. And you guys know I'm in Nevada. It's been amazing, but we're not done. We're not done. We've got heavy hitters coming up. And coming up next, I've been looking at Kate sitting in the virtual green room now for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm like, she's here. I can't wait to talk to her. I want to welcome her to the stage. If I can figure out how to word my mouse. Hey, Kate, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. Oh my goodness. I've been wanting to get you here for that word that is right there on your name. Unstuck.
Unstuck, yes.
Unstuck. Tell me about you. Well, first, hi. I say, I'm so excited. I'm just being rude. My mother is in the heavens right now going, what's wrong with you? Let me first say thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for having me. Taking my invitation, because this is actually our first time chatting. We haven't had a message or anything other than a couple of emails. And I want to thank you for just having the faith and saying, yeah, I'm going. It's cool. I'll be there.
Just do it.
Just do it. I saw on your website that if you do 10,000 hours of practicing or doing something, it kind of makes you an expert, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what does that have to do with people that are stuck? Because I know people that have done 10,000 hours of something and they still don't think they're good enough to do what they need to be doing. So how do you get them unstuck?
I'm so happy you asked that question. Well, the way the mind works, it learns by repetition. So if you're doing something that is keeping you stuck over and over again for 10,000 hours, guess what? You're just going to keep on being stuck. See, the thing is, you have a habit of action is coming from your habit of thinking. So it's really all up here. So that's where we really like to focus, to kind of help everybody get unstuck.
Where did the Unstuck Society come from? How did you decide this is something, because I totally agree it needs to be done. People are literally, stopping themselves. It's not anything else. It's not COVID. It's not work. It's not, they're stopping themselves. Yeah. So how did you decide to do this? And I love your logo, by the way. How did you decide to do this?
Well, my journey, my story actually started, we have 4 girls, and we found out we were having our 5th child, and it was a boy, and everything was great. And I'm like, this poor kid, he needs a brother. So we tried to go for number 6, and I ended up having a miscarriage. But after doing surgery, the doctor said, gave us our blessings to go ahead and try again. And we did, and thought, right away, got pregnant right away. And this time I was really nervous. I'm like, I want to get blood levels checked and everything. And I got a call from the doctor, and she asked me to come in with my husband, James, who you've met. And it just felt weird. Like, typically they're like, bring your husband in. It's kind of odd. And when I went in, it was kind of like tunnel vision, in the sense that I like, can you have the crinkling of the paper on the table, and could, like, it was almost like I'm underwater. Could I hear the doctor talking? And then I just heard my husband's voice kind of like snap me out of it. And he was like, wait, she's got cancer? And what happened was I actually got diagnosed with a type of placental cancer that I wasn't pregnant. It was actually a cancer growing inside me. And very fast moving, very aggressive, very rare. So, and they're like, and this is my, OBGYN telling me this. So she's like, you just got to go find a doctor. So I remember sitting in the parking lot with my husband and just crying because I have a 2-year-old at home and my 4 girls. And that thought, that impact of your children might grow up and never know you or not remember you, snaps you into reality real quick that you don't have tomorrow. And what I realized, I realized that I came out, I was on autopilot. Everything I did in my life, I was told to do it. You should be a lawyer. Okay, I'll go and study law. You should get married and live in suburbia. Okay, I'll do that. And I was just kind of, the best way I describe it is, you ever driven your car and then you start like thinking about stuff and you get sidetracked and all of a sudden you're at your destination and you're like, how did I get here? Right? Yeah. You're an autopilot. You're like, how did I do that? Like I'm thinking, but bam, I'm here. So that was kind of like what I had happen in my life. I'm like, bam, I'm here. And I go, wait a minute. I'm not very present, and I'm not being very proactive and active in my life. I'm just on that, bam, I'm here driving. So that's when I realized I'm stuck. And I dug deep into mindset, subconscious matter. And myself and my husband have already been serial entrepreneurs for our adult life. So realizing that was to our benefit, that he was able to help take care of me. And we didn't have like a 9-to-5. We were like, man, we need to get other entrepreneurs out there to get them in that like red pill, like the Matrix. Red pill, blue pill. Yeah. I was like, you need it, because all of us let's put it this way. Our brain, 95% of our brain is all on the subconscious level. We're only using 5% consciously. So 95% of what you're doing, you don't even realize you're doing. So I'm like, red pill, let's get very active and like realize where you're stuck so that we can get you over that hump and really move you forward. Really focus on what you want to do. Like get off autopilot. You got to do that. And then specifically for entrepreneurs or anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, because that was critical with me being able to get the care I needed, because my husband didn't have to worry about, calling into work and things like that. He was there to be able to by my side. And just in general, entrepreneur.
There, that's a blessing that he could be there. People I know people that haven't started their business because they don't like the color socks they're wearing. They come up with something, oh, the weather's not right. Oh, it's raining, I got to walk my dog. It's like they got 50 going on. And then I meet people like yourself that have hit, a wall that they never saw. And they just said, that's fine. I'm going to move through it. And now are you moving through it, but you're turning around and teaching others how to move through it as well. And that's an amazing thing. So if somebody is watching right now and they're just coming out of a major medical issue, right now they could be coming off of COVID. I mean, we could just talk about that alone. They're coming out of a major medical issue, or they just lost their job, or they had this idea. I got this great idea. And they had this idea for years, and they're so scared to even try. What do you guys do at Unstuck Society? Because see, I would just shake them, and you probably tell me not to do that. So what would you do at Unstuck Society to get them moving forward?
Well, we have some awesome scientifically backed and proven techniques to get down to that deep level, that subconscious level, and really dig out all those, I don't want to say poorly wired, but not serving you well wiring. And we're going to completely rewire, and we're going to erase and eradicate those not beneficial thoughts that you have. And then from there, now we give you the red pill. Now you're like, wow, the world is my oyster. Everything's amazing. Everything's possible. You're feeling great. And I'm like, all right, now let's get you into some awesome, actionable habits. We're going to get you some business strategy that will help you move forward. Because again, like I said, we're very much focused on entrepreneurs and small business people. Because I hear things all the time about people will be like, oh, well, I can't decide what podcast program to use. And they just nitpick on that and they can't figure it out and can't figure it out. And I'm like, you're just procrastinating because you need everything to be perfect. Well, not everything's perfect in this world. And if it was, that'd be kind of boring, right? So it's kind of like digging down deeper. Why do you need to be perfect? What is it back in your brain that's making you feel this need? And a lot of that will come back down to childhood issues and things like that. But the big thing to remember about your brain when you said like people like, you know, the color socks or the weather, things like that, your mind loves the familiar. And your brain is just there to keep you to survive. It is not there to keep you happy. So it's going to keep you where it's familiar and it feels safe. So that huge idea that you have, if it's unfamiliar and it's scary and new and exciting, your brain's going, we're in survival mode. And so it takes a lot of work and a lot of coaching and habits built to get you over that hump so that you can make that new exciting project that you have familiar. And then like you're off and running at that point.
So, I mean, you want to go into a business. I know I do. I want to start everything thinking there is absolutely no limit. The sky is the limit, and then I'm going to figure out what's on the other side of the sky, you know. But a lot of people just want to market and master their neighborhood, you know, or they want to master this one Facebook group. And to me, they're leaving not just money on the table, but experience, life experience on that table. How do you get people out of their own way and get them to see there is a much bigger picture? You're moving now. That's great. You're not just sitting around talking about it, because God knows nothing I hate worse than somebody sits around and say, well, one day I'm gonna, you know, hello, let me introduce you to one day. As Zig Ziglar said, you know, he used to give round business cards and he'd say, you know, you want to get around to it? Here's your round to it. Now let's do it. And that's how I feel about it. How do you get them to get out of their comfort zone and really expand to those new horizons?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just pretty much said it in the sense that, oh, one day I'm going to get to it. Well, the brain doesn't work that way. The brain only works in present. It only works in now. I am successful now. I'm killing it now. I'm blowing it up and I've got this awesome idea and I'm creating it now. If you're like one day, guess what? It won't happen. That's not how the mind works. So that's number one, get in the present, whatever it is, even if it's like, I'm writing down my action plan, my steps, I'm writing it down now. You have to give it a now. It cannot be tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. And then the other thing is like people take for granted time. Like I said, I was 34 when I got diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't know if I was going to live or die that day. And believe me, I did not think that I thought I was invincible at 34. I thought I was invincible at 18. Everybody takes for granted that they're going to have tomorrow. You might not. And that's like a scary reality that, you know, hopefully only a few of us have had to go through that you experience that. But when you do, it gets real quick. You know what I mean? You go, you know what, if I have a business and I have an idea, I'm working on it right now because I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And I think that's why we've really like moved fast and furious, because I'm saying it as if it's today, it's now. I am this now, which is how your brain works. And not only that, I'm backing it with my actions, because I'm also fearful that I won't have tomorrow, which is not a great thing to lead by, is fear, but it's always there. I think it's there for anybody that's awoken, is that, you know, time is ticking. It's one thing's for certain. We're all going to die at some point, not to get super morbid, but that's going to happen. So I tell my kids, my teenagers, boy, if I had known in high school what I know now, where it's like, who cares? Who cares what people think? Who cares? It is your life and the time is ticking, and every day you don't get back. So I tell my kids, I'm like, it doesn't matter what other people think. If you want to try out for that team, you want to do that play, you want to try a new business, whatever it is, do it. If you fail, whatever, you just learn from it. No big deal. Like we ran a wedding business for 10 plus years, and then that business got saturated, and we're like, okay, time to pivot. You know, COVID happens. Guess what, guys? Time to pivot. I know a chef, right? The restaurants got impacted big time. So what's he going to do? His restaurant's closed. He pivoted. Now he's teaching online cooking courses. I'm like, this guy's killing it. So just keep going forward. That's really what it comes down to.
You know, would you say that this past year, I believe this past year has been a really rude awakening for a lot of people, because we all kind of took tomorrow for granted. I never thought I live in a society where, you know, you're supposed to be wearing masks all the time, and I do, and you're afraid to go outside, and you're scared of something you can't even see, you know, and you see somebody, you know, on Monday and they're fine, and then you hear from their family they're in the hospital on Friday. It's been a real reality check, yes?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is a non-discriminating type of virus. Like you said, it's silent and it's taken the world by storm. So yeah, I think it is a huge reality check. Not only that, you know, we're all vulnerable and anybody can catch this and it could take anybody, but also the fact that we're so busy. I know for myself, oh my gosh, I was scheduled like 3 o'clock. I was just back to back with kids stuff and everything like that. Every weekend was booked up. And I think we all realize how fast paced our life was, and we all had to take a step back and really look at what's important. Because think about it now. What are we all vying for? What do we all want? We all want connection. We all want community. We just want to go see our friends and family. We just want to hug somebody, right? So forget about all the other stuff. Like, let's get down to what we need as humans, which is connection. Right?
Yeah, I've got a 14-year-old grandson that wants to hug me now. You know, when you're 14, you just don't want to. But he wants to hug now, you know?
Yeah, like, I know. For a 14-year-old boy to hug anybody is like huge, right? Because they're at that weird stage. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Well, Kate, I appreciate you coming on. Oh my goodness. We've kind of had these two ships kind of thing going and in the same group a little bit. And it's like, okay, now what, you know? But I truly appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. I love your mission with Unstuck Society. I think it's amazing. I probably need to join it because even I get stuck about 15 times a day. And I love having powerful people in my corner and telling me, snap out of it. I mean, my business partners do a lot of that, especially my Captain Ann, but it's always good to have somebody outside that goes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because sometimes you don't realize it. Sometimes you don't realize it.
I thank you so much for coming by. I hope you'll come on again. We can go even deeper. I know these 15-minute interviews go by like, but I just wanted to spend a few minutes with you and say, great job, lady. Great job. I love what you're doing. It's awesome.
I love what you're doing. Awesome. This is awesome. I'm so inspired by all of this.
Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. The moment is here. She's coming up. She's been waiting in the virtual green room. I'm looking at her there and I'm like, she's here. She's here. Now you're wondering, who am I talking about? I'm going to say this. New York Times bestseller. Not once, multiple times. I'm going to say leader, coach, inspiration. And that's all I'm going to say until right after this message. Now, I know I was teasing and you guys are wondering, what are you talking about? Who's here? What are you talking about? Peggy McCall is here. And if you don't know who Peggy McCall is, shame on you, because you dang sure should know who she is. New York Times bestseller, coach, and now my new friend, Peggy McCall. How you doing, lady? Welcome to the show.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much. You are a machine today, Teresa. Look at you go.
I ate my Wheaties.
I guess you did. Now, did you get to a point today? I mean, you've been doing all the interviewing, right? Maybe you should sit back, let somebody interview you for a little bit. Now, did you reach a point today where you're going, what in the world was I thinking?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I did, especially at the lunch break, because when I'm going and I'm talking to people, I love doing this. This is one of my passions. So when I'm going and doing this, 18 years in media, yeah, let's go. We can do it all day. But then I took a lunch break and I sat down, you know, and the dog came, put his head in my lap, and I went, oh, yeah. I got 12 more to do. It's okay.
Just 12 more to go. Well, I think that speaks to when you love what you do, and when you're in it, it doesn't feel like work. But I remember going to South Africa one time. I was doing a 3-city book tour, and it was a really big schedule: TV, radio, bookstore signings, seminars, webinars. Well, no webinars. It was all live events. And I got to the final day. It was the 10th day, and I had been going strong. There were a couple nights I didn't sleep because we had such long days. And I got to that 10th day, and I was just thinking, I'm about 8 hours away from little drinks with umbrellas in them at the pool.
Well, you already know I'm a humongous fan of yours. You know, we just spoke the other day. We just did your interview. It's actually going to air this coming Saturday. So I'm so excited about that. And thank you for coming on to the show. And then you agreed to come back for International Women's Day. And I could not be happier. You know, you are the epitome of International Women's Day. You have blazed trails. You've left nobody behind. I mean, if people want to follow, you'll lead, you know, and you are lighting it up. You've also traveled all over the world. You just told a story about living all over the world. What would you tell someone that's looking right now? Maybe they're in college, maybe they're in high school, and they're going, I want to write. I want to travel. I want to do, and they feel like maybe they can't because people are telling them, well, that's not for you. You can't do that. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I totally get that. I love that. You know, what immediately comes to my mind, Teresa, is to get a copy of Savvy Wisdom. Now that may seem a little, right? Like may seem a little odd, but I put myself back in the shoes of at that time in my life, you know, as a teenager. And of course, Savvy Wisdom is a fiction book. It's a parable based on my own life and meeting Bob Proctor. But I was a young teenager who wasn't going to college. I actually wanted to exit stage left. I just wanted to end my life, kind of like what Meghan Markle had said on the interview last night with Oprah. And I was very much the same way. And so you know, the reason why I say get Savvy Wisdom is it's a great book, especially if, you know, a young person seems to be really resonating with men, women, boys, and girls, but teenagers specifically are loving this book. And what I like about it is it really takes you on a journey, but a journey that you can go along with the writer and experience the potential of really creating a phenomenal life, like a life of your dreams, because the wisdom that was provided to Sophie, the main character in the book, is absolutely life-changing. And it's, you know, such a simple thing to do. It's a fun thing to do. We all love to be entertained, and this is a great way of being entertained and inspired at the exact same time.
So this is your first book of this type. You know, you have not written a book like this. What inspired you to finally write the story? Because it is a parable of your life a little bit, and it's kind of, I started it, and we're going to do a Q&A, and I'm going to be so ready for this Q&A. But you really stepped out of your comfort zone with this book, and it literally exploded. What made you decide to write it?
It was absolutely divinely guided, I believe. And I always pay attention to those guidances, those pieces of guidance. You know, I had already 18 books out there in the world. Many of them were in the field of self-help. A couple books were on marketing because I teach people entrepreneurs how to market their business or their books effectively. And so I did not intend on writing a book. I mean, last year, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to write a fiction book or a parable one day. It was not even on my radar. And it wasn't even in my consciousness until October 31st, 2020. And I was looking at this list of videos. I create videos all the time that we use in our business to promote, share knowledge, information, strategies. And one of my team members, she always creates the list of recommended topics. And so it was October 31st. I looked at the list and it said how I wrote my first fiction book. And I thought, well, I mean, she knows me, right? She knows me very well. I've never written a fiction book. And I just, rather than dismissing it, because normally what I would do is just delete, you know, move on to the next topic. And I just felt there's something there. There's something, it's like a message for me I need to hear and pay attention to right now. And so I decided to entertain the idea. what if I wrote a fiction book? And then my paradigm showed up and they said, well, you're not a great writer. And then I thought, well, what if you believe you are? Because I'm a good writer. I consider myself a good writer. I'd always hire great editors, and it would help make my book much better. And then I just said, listen, why don't you get out of your own way and get on with the work? When would you love to have it done? So, and this is just the dialogue I'm having with myself. And I decided I'm going to get this book done in 10 days. And I didn't. I got it done in 9 days. But you know what, Teresa? It was the best time I've ever had by far writing a book. I am madly in love with what came through me, like madly in love, like nothing I've ever experienced before. And the book's just taken off. It's being made into a movie. And I'm already visualizing my my Oscar. I already have it right here on my desk. Best motion picture, Savvy Wisdom. Isn't that great? And awesome. I keep it on my desk right in front of my sign that says your success is absolutely guaranteed.
That is, see, this is why I'm a super fan. Right here. This is why I'm a super fan. She didn't take a little piece of paper and stick it on the wall, which that is great because I've got tons of little pieces of paper stuck on the wall. But she went to a whole nother level and said, look, it's going to be a movie. And on top of that, it's going to get an Oscar. Period. Hands down. That's what you call trailblazing right there. That's what I mean by international woman right there. You know, I want to ask you about someone who's sitting at home and thinks they have a story. You know, they think they want to get that message out and they don't know where to start. They don't know if their message is worth even sharing. How do you start?
Yeah, well, you start like I did with Savvy Wisdom by making a decision. You're going to do it, right? You just say, I'm going to write this book. And that's a very simple place to start. And then secondly, set a date for when you're going to get it done. And then what you do, and what I did was I went into my agenda and I just started blocking off time. I have a busy life. And so when I decided I'm getting this book written in 9 days, I didn't have a clear schedule. I just went and found places where I could plug in an hour or two here and there. So I knew I could sit down, focus on the writing. And then I got my attitude right about it. And that was, I expected to write a great book. It's almost like I commanded myself to write a great book, and there was no other option. If you're going to put the time in, you might as well do a great job while you're at it. And so I decided to do that, and I stuck with it. And, you know, in all sincerity, there was never a day where I didn't feel like writing, and everything was just totally flowing through me. And it was such a fun experience because I remember sitting there and thinking, where's this coming from? But anyways, you got to get into the spirit of the writing as well. And that's really using the law of assumption, assuming that it's going to go well for you and just assuming you're going to have a great time writing and getting on with the work. But I would caution anyone who's thinking about writing a book to really learn about the marketing as well. Because when I first became an author, I realized that writing the book and publishing the book is a tiny fraction of what's really essential for success as an author. And when I first became an author with my first book, someone said 5% of an author's responsibility is getting their book out to the world, which means you write it and you publish or self-publish. 95% of an author's responsibility is the marketing. And so I dove right in very early days and applied effective marketing. I love using this thing called the internet. It's so easy to access for anyone, anywhere. And that's when I began creating bestsellers. And that's when people started being drawn to me, like Marianne Williamson and Wayne Dyer and Greg Braden and Neil Donald Walsh and Debbie Ford and all these wonderful people.
Goosebumps. I got goosebumps.
They were just amazing. It was amazing to work with them. And you see, I believe I'm here to make a positive contribution to the lives of millions. How that's going to happen? Not my job. The universe will take care of that. I just got to show up every day and find ways of, how can I serve today? How can I serve today better than I did yesterday? You know, what is it that people are really looking for? And how can I bring that to them so that they get what they need and what they want as well? And I believe that's just a philosophy for life. You have that. I see it in everything that you do. You're a big giver. You're generous. You're exceedingly generous. And I remember Bob Proctor told me, he said, the first law of prosperity is generosity. And that really is who you are. You're very, very generous with your time, with your knowledge, with your expertise, with your words. You leave people with the impression of increase. And I think you're extraordinary, and I only see success for you because that's all you deserve.
I appreciate that. I really do. Coming from you, man, that's very humbling for me. It's just like, wow, just hearing those words from you, and I'm sitting here looking at the clock going, no, because our
Oh
time
no,
is almost up. I can't believe it. 15 minutes goes like that. But
yeah.
we are not done. You're going to come on to the show. We're going to do a Q&A. I hope Mr. Proctor can come because I'm a
For
humongous
sure.
fan of him. And
Yeah.
we're going to sit down and really talk about Savvy Wisdom because,
Yay.
when the Oscar comes around, I got to get tickets. I don't care if it's in the nosebleed
That's
seats.
right.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I will be there for that. And I just want to ask you, if you weren't an author, if you weren't the mentor that you are, what would you have done? What was your passion that you wanted to do that you only get a chance to do a little bit right now?
I was in love with personal development when I was 19. I mean, I just found it, loved it, and that's all I've really thought about. So even though my career started in the technology industry, and it really hasn't really left because I still use technology in my business, I honest to goodness can't think of anything I would rather do than what I'm doing right now. It's interesting you asked that question, but I absolutely am madly in love with what I do.
Well, Miss Peggy McCall, I'm a fan. You are definitely a friend and a member of our family. I'm so happy to have met you. Thank goodness for Jennifer Hammond because she made that happen. And when she sent me that email, I went, no, that's not what she said. She's not going to introduce me to her. And she did. And you said yes. And I am so happy and so proud that you did. Thank you for coming on our International Women's Day Marathon. Happy International Women's Day. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your week.
Thank you. You too, Teresa. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Peggy McCall. But we're not done. We are not done. Megan has been sitting back there in the virtual green room. She's watching. She knows I see her. And I'm sitting here going, oh, Megan's here. Let's bring Megan up. Hey, Megan, what's happening?
Hey there. How are you?
I am good. I am good. I read something. You're a business coach. You're an entrepreneur. All the things we've been talking about today, you're mastering. You're out there just doing your thing. But you literally took a business from 0 to 8 million?
8 million. Yes.
Dollars, not pesos.
Dollars. Yes, that's right.
So what got you started in this journey of entrepreneurship?
Well, funny enough, it was actually a hula hoop. I got started.
Excuse me?
A hula hoop. I know. It's crazy. I actually started when I just finished college and I knew I wanted freedom. And I discovered this amazing thing called hoop dance. And I started doing it. And it's funny, if you've never looked into hoop dance, look it up. It's wild. It's amazing. And funny enough, it's actually a really powerful tool for personal development and personal empowerment. And it helped me to really embrace who I always wanted to be. And that was where it started. I realized I wanted to make hula hoops and share it with every person that I met. And I got certified to teach it. And that was where it all started. That was about 14 years ago. And yes, and here we are today.
Wait, hold on. One, I've never heard of hoop dance. Okay. I have to look that up. There's a certification program for it. I feel so left behind. And what exactly, how do you find that? How do you know this is what you wanted to do? I mean, come on, give me more.
So I had seen it at festivals, like music festivals. And so I had seen these hippie girls with these hula hoops. And I was like, that looks cool. That looks really fun. And so that was when I started, I actually started watching YouTube videos and trying to figure it all out. And of course I was Googling like crazy trying to figure out, like, how do I get my hands on one of these hula hoops? I'd never been able to hula hoop my whole life, but I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. And it turns out there was like this whole counterculture, like, you know, this subculture of people that were doing this. And there were many people before me who were doing it. And that was really where it all started. Yeah, I know it's pretty crazy, but it also was like,
you're blowing my mind.
It was the thing that changed everything for me. If you've seen Cirque du Soleil, I know you're in the Las Vegas area.
Yep.
If you've seen Cirque du Soleil, you've probably seen some of those like circus people. And so it was very much aligned with that. You know, there are a lot of people who I connected with were involved in the circus culture and all of that. But there's something about being able to dance and be free and be fluid and just to be who you are, that really kind of set me on that path.
So how do you go from hula hoops to building an $8 million business to being rated one of the #1 groups on Huffington Post? How do these things tie together? Because one of these things don't go together. How does that happen?
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, entrepreneurship is it's a journey. It is a journey. And that was the first step for me. And it actually led to another really big step for me, which was I decided that I wanted to host an event. So I had a 5-day music, yoga, and hula hooping festival where I had, you know, hundreds of people attending this event for 5 days, camping out, listening to music, taking workshops, doing all of that. And that was where I started to learn, okay, this is what a real business can look like, producing this event, marketing it, all of that. And then because I started building this community, I had people coming to me a lot saying like, how did you create this? Like, how did you do this? And so that was like, I realized, oh, I could help people to do something with their lives. Like, I didn't really know what it was going to be. And that was when I discovered
she did something with their lives.
Yes. And so that was when I decided, I'm like, let me get into this coaching thing. Let's look into see what all this is about. Because obviously there are people who want to do something great. They want to step forward. They want to live with purpose. Mm-hmm. And so that was where it all started, where like I really took things seriously. And that was about 8 years ago when I got into the coaching industry. And then when I got in, I realized like, wow, there's a huge market for this. And every year it's getting bigger and bigger. People who realize that they can do more, they can be more when they have the support to make that all happen. And that's kind of where it all started for me, like, you know, that transition. And there was a lot of bumpy roads in building a business as of course, you know, building something great, doing things differently. It's never going to be easy.
Yeah, it's a rough road.
Yeah. Yes. We set out so excited thinking that life is I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to work for myself. This is going to be easy. But it wasn't always easy. And I ended up closing the doors to the first coaching business that I had after having really struggled with burnout. Always being the one who had to drive the business forward. And what really hit home for me was when I had my first son, and I could only take off 4 weeks to be with him because I had to like get right back into working. And so it was a very, you know, it was just not, I always knew that it was going to be a mom, and I was like, entrepreneurship will give me the freedom to be present with my kids and all of that. And that was just so not the case, at least in the way that I had built that business. And so I ended up closing the doors to my business. And it was a really, one of those rock bottom moments. But it led me to this coach who wanted to, be this, like, build like a true empire. And I stepped in to be her right-hand woman and support her as she did that. And, I trust everything that happens in all of those tough moments, and having closed the doors to my business because I'd burnt out, because I didn't know how to build a business the right way, in a way that it can actually work for me. Then stepping into this other company and helping her to build this from the ground up, I got to see what it really takes to build a true empire, like something that works for you, a business that like you can really leave a legacy with and really impact a huge amount of people.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal.
It is the ultimate goal. And what I learned was that literally anyone can do it. Like, it doesn't matter like who you are or what you think.
And
like
right now somebody is looking at you going, Megan, you've lost your mind. I can't build that. I can't do it. I don't have the skill level. I don't know what to do. So how do you address that person that thinks right now you're not talking to them because they know they can't build an empire business? What do you want to tell them?
The only thing that you need, the first thing that you really need is you need to have a strong desire to make an impact. Like, you know that you're here for a purpose. That's literally the first thing that you need. If you don't feel that, then maybe you are somebody who wants to help someone else do that. But if you have that drive inside of you and you feel that pull that you're like, I have something here, that's the first step. And then the next step is like, get the support to do that, because trying to do it alone is going to be hard and it's going to be lonely. And so this is really about you stepping forward and saying, yes, I want this. And then you just take one step after the other. My business partner and I, we are firm believers that you start by building a business for what you want. And that really starts with finding somebody who believes in what you're doing and partnering with them and saying, okay, like, let's make this happen. Find somebody who really sees what you have to offer and sees the vision that you have that can help you and take your hand and help you to take those steps forward. Because when you have that person who's got your back, it really does, it gives you that push, because there are moments, like we said, there are those tough moments where things get hard. But when you have a support system there and you have somebody who really believes in you and who's willing to do the work with you, then that's the game changer. And this is one of the things that we do with our clients, because we know that this can be tough to push through those moments. So it's really about building a team. We are huge advocates of having a team of people behind you to push you forward, to drive the momentum forward, because just trying to do it on your own can be tough. And if you're really serious about having that empire, you have to think for the vision that you have, not for where you stand right now.
Let me ask you, you mentioned a little bit ago, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with what you just said. But you mentioned a little bit ago about burnout, and a lot of people are doing exactly what we're doing right now. They're working in their home, and days go by before I start my car, because it's like, where am I going? So they're working in their home and they're trying to do everything. They're the cook and the sous chef, and they're doing the dishes. They're doing everything. How do you address burnout?
Yeah, so it's a thing. I'm actually in the midst of a launch right now. So I have been very, very busy. We've been doing, trainings every day. And I also have 2 young children at home. I've got a 8-month-old baby and a 4-year-old son. And again, team is everything. Like, if I didn't have my nannies to help me, and listen, it's not about having somebody, like, I'm humble. I don't have people who are in my house 24/7 doing everything for me. But where can you offload something? Because if you're trying to do it all yourself, you are limiting your ability to be present with those who matter most, whether it be your family, whether it be your partner, whether it be your business. Like, you're limiting your ability to fully show up in the space that you need to be in that moment. So, one thing you can do, have somebody who, like, order out, or have somebody who can do food prep a couple nights a week for you, just to take that off of your plate. It feels like an extravagance, but the time and the energy that you get back as a result of that, like, it's about paying it forward. I am all about investing in my health and my wellness on the front end, rather than pushing myself to a point where you know, I'm sick and I'm completely burnt out and I can't do the things that I need to do in my life if I'm on a hospital bed. So I'd rather make that investment now to be able to live life now rather than, you know, hoping that in the future it's all going to pay off.
And again, the 15 minutes flies by. I just looked at the clock. I've got like 20 other questions I want to ask. You got to come back. You got to come back. Good.
Would love
grief.
to. Would love to. I'm so grateful to you for bringing all of these amazing women together.
You guys are doing your thing, man. If my platform, quote unquote platform, can help, if we can get the message out there, yeah, but I really just want to show people from all walks of life. I know it's International Women's Day, but I want to show people from all walks of life, yeah, you can. You know, you can literally sit in your guest room.
Yes. Yes.
And talk to people that have made millions of dollars and are making millions of dollars and changing people's lives in a positive way in the middle of one of the biggest pandemics in human history. You know, it's like, thank God for technology, because you imagine if we had gone through this in the 80s and all you had was a pager, 911, you know, this would have been crazy. But right now, you know, nobody wants to be in COVID. Nobody wants to deal with any of this stuff. But to deal with it and being able to have this kind of technology and having people like yourself reach out and respond and say, yeah, I'll come. You know, I'll come and spend 15 minutes. You didn't know what I was going to ask you. You didn't know me from Adam. You just said, sure. You know, worst case, you can turn the power off. I mean, I guess that's the answer to it. You know, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I literally do want to ask 20,000 other questions, and I hope you can come back again and we can have a full interview and do some Q&A and all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, you know, number one, Huffington Post, we barely touched that. Tell them how to reach you. Tell them where your group is on Facebook. Let's get some of that out before I get hate mail.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes. So you can go to ladies, LADIES, who scale, ladieswhoscale.com. And you can join into our Facebook group. Would love to connect with you there. That's the best space that you can go. We are always in there serving and sharing tips and trainings and strategies and just real human connection. Because like you were saying, like that's what we need most right now. And I'm so grateful to you, Tigo. This was just so fun to be here with you today.
I'm grateful to you, Megan. Thank you. Happy International Women's Day. And I hope you can come back soon.
Absolutely. All right. See you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye. Okay. Now we've been having fun all day. Okay. And believe it or not, I'm 2 interviews away from being done. And I strategically am so excited. I want to say I planned this. I didn't. I let everybody pick their own times. But it ended up being 2 of my really fun, cool, energetic friends that are going to take me to the finish line of this International Women's Day Marathon. One of which, you know, I was talking about her earlier. I know she's been floating around out there. My good buddy, Rhino Julie's in the house. What's happening?
Hey, you crazy woman. Have you eaten today?
Yes, ma'am. I wasn't going to be able to look at you in the virtual eyes and not say I didn't eat. I actually took a 2-hour break in between sets. How about that?
That makes me so happy. You hear all of you guys? She is doing a marathon for International Women's Day, and she got her food in today. So we should all learn. We should all learn from Tigo.
Okay, now we got to tell people why you even asked that, because if they haven't seen you on the show, if they haven't seen everything that you're doing on social media and all over the world, they need to know, 1, why do we call you Rhino Julie? And why do you care if I ate other than you're a super nice person?
Well, guys, I am Rhino Julie because I own the Camp Rhino Gyms in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I run the Rhino Command Mentormind, which is where I help women lose 20 pounds for their next event. And the reason I care that Tigo ate today is because women are much, much different from men. Did you know that for a guy, intermittent fasting and even fasting, like it helps his brain work better, like it helps him on so many levels, but for women, it makes us more sluggish and it hurts our metabolism.
That's not fair.
It's not. There's a lot of things that I've been learning lately about the difference between men and women. I'm in this Dr. Stacy Sims course, and she's a pioneer for women. So most of the studies out there, like when you go and get your nutrition certification, you are like learning about 18 to 24-year-old males, because that's who they did the studies on, that we all learned how to eat and how to exercise. And so I'm going through this course and it's blowing my mind. And I am so glad you ate today because it helps the world.
You are so funny. She's like, because it helps the world. You are so funny. Now, you own the gyms. We know that. Okay. You're Rhino Julie because of that. But you've never had a problem with weight gain, right? I mean, you've always had the perfect metabolism, correct?
No. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I always forget. No, I started my gyms 16 years ago because I was 65 pounds heavier. And I was driving to a client appointment. I had a little print advertising business, and I couldn't button my skirt. So I was wearing a jacket to cover it up, and it's Las Vegas, so it's hot, and I was just sweating. And I was meeting my client. His name was Russi Bolsangiev, and he was so intimidating. And I just, at that moment, I was like, if I can't lose this weight, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because I was just so miserable. So I decided to start my gyms. I started them out in the parks back then, just on a quest to lose weight once and for all.
Now you're doing, you have your women's program, you have your gyms, but you've been helping people. You even did kind of a fundraising scholarship program for people that maybe they couldn't afford to pay for a gym right now because we're in the midst of COVID. You know, people may be watching this in 2045 and going, what's a COVID? But right now, we're in the middle of it. And you said, you can't come and work out because you don't have your job right now or money is tight. We're going to figure this out. What are you doing out there in the parks? Because I see tires and people looking like they're ready to pass out. What's going on?
So back during the first recession, I just remember we were around during that time. And I remember getting all of these emails back then saying, I can't afford your program anymore. And I was like, that's terrible. And then other people said, well, how about I cover their memberships? And I was like, whoa. So you have people who can't afford it right now because of circumstances that have to do with the recession. Then you have people who are willing to give more to help their peers be able to keep coming, because we're a community, we're a family. And so this, a pandemic is a great time to revive that. So every 2 weeks, we've been going out into the parks and we've been doing old school Rhino boot camp, which is how I started. And yeah, we have these amazing people coming out and donating and participating and covering other Rhinos memberships who can't. And it helps the gym too, because the gym's, middle of pandemic, they're suffering. People need. I got one message that said, "Thank you so much for this scholarship. Going to the gym is about a lot more than like weight loss or health. It's about my mental health. And without the gym right now and this pandemic, then I would just be suffering so much more. So thank you so much." And I'm like, well, it's not me. It's these amazing peers of yours that are covering your membership and helping you be there. It's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, but you're like this conduit. I mean, we've been in the same groups together and we all kind of are off doing our own thing, not talking to each other. Just, we're on the grind. Got to get to this goal, got to get to that goal, got to answer this question or that question to get to the next level. And Rhino Julie comes along and says, hey, let's create a group on Facebook so we can keep each other motivated. What? Okay. And we end up making these amazing friends. I mean, Wanda Brown is out there and, she's become this buddy of mine. And it's all because you created this little group and we talk to each other and check on each other and virtually poke each other. You doing okay over there? How you doing? You're just that person, because there's gyms everywhere. And like you said, yours is a community. Yours is a tribe of humans that are helping each other. And you go from literally a regular gym to little American Ninja Warrior type people that are training to like climb mountains. And I've got a grandson now who had a ninja birthday. He turned 6 last week. He had a ninja birthday and he's jumping over everything right now, talking about, I'm a ninja. And I'm like, I've got to get him in your program. So it's you, honey. It's not just people coming together. You're making it happen. I want to put that out there. You're making it happen, and I want to thank you for doing that.
Well, spoken from the queen of connections, when I first met you, you literally told me, you said, I just like connecting people and I just like seeing, well, that person needs to meet that person. And so here you talking about it, but girl, I would call you the queen bee connector.
So before we go ahead.
Oh no, you brought up Ninja Warrior. So I don't like exercising. And back in the day, I was obsessed with the Ninja Warrior in Japan. Yeah, I really don't like exercising.
How do you not like exercising when you own a community of like loyal? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
I need them to be there, so I have to be there. Like I always used to say, I just need people to make me like be there. And then if I'm with other people and we're bonding, then it's a lot more fun, right? But Ninja Warrior sparked my interest, and it was in Japan back then, like 16 years ago. And I just remember seeing little kids in a playground out at the park where we were working out at. And then I saw this Ninja Warrior Japan, and I was like, man, exercising for fun, like being like little kids on a playground, like how cool would that be? And so we had our first obstacle course out in the park. And then fast forward to today, I have my 2 gyms, which I think they're fun. They're group classes. We have a strength-based class, cardio-based class. Anyways, personal training, nutrition, I think they're fun. But then I have a Ninja Warrior gym ran by Parker and David. They're the 2 most awesomest guys you could ever meet. Just genuine, wholesome. You want, them working with your kids. They have their values written up on the wall. And it wasn't even me telling them what to do, which I absolutely love. But these little kids, like, to me, I've always thought that Ninja Warrior is the one thing that could beat out video games for little kids, right? And then you have your little female ninjas, and you don't have any of the body image issues that you might have from some other sports, which I won't name, right? Because like Ninja Warrior is just about what can you do? It doesn't matter what you look like or what leotard you're wearing or how your hair is. It's about, hey, look at that little ninja girl. Look at what she's doing. And the girls and the boys are decently equally matched at young ages too, which I think is pretty cool here on International Women's Day.
That is so cool. You talked about boot camps, and you're literally the founder, creator of boot camps. You not military boot camp, because I did that. Okay, I'm not talking about being in the Navy boot camp. I'm talking about fitness boot camps. Like, there was a show on national television that we shall remain nameless right now, but they kind of copied the way you create this program and come up with crazy stuff to do with tires and stuff like that. How did you come up with that?
I wanted to join the military just to lose weight because I'd seen people come back from boot camp skinny. And I was like, Julie, that's a terrible reason to go join the military. And it does a disservice to all the men and women like you who are in the service. So I was like, I'm going to start my own boot camp. Well, first I wanted to go to a fat camp, but I couldn't find one. So I was like, I'm going to start my own boot camp for civilians out in the park. And I felt like the biggest imposter ever in the world. So I got these 2 guys to like help me, and we acted like they were training me, but it was all just coming out of my head, like carrying buckets of water. We got telephone poles to like carry on our shoulders. And then I would wear a little camo hat, and I had my little whistle, and people always asked me if I was in the military, and I was like, no. And anyways, and I'm sure there were simultaneous universes with people doing it at the same time, but at the time I couldn't find any. And then, that TV show, they called me and they're like, Julie, we've been copying your stuff for years. Will you come and come and be on the show? But the show was sponsored by 24 Hour Fitness, and I had no idea how to use those machines. Good times, girl.
I love talking to you. You are so funny. Now, all day I've had this ticker tape running by, and I haven't talked about it at all because I've been waiting for you. So you and I both know Pod Nation's finally launching. Yes. It's actually up on Roku right now and maybe on Amazon Fire. I haven't checked because they say any day now. So it may be there. I haven't looked. I know it's on Roku. I know our search engine is already, our video search engine's launched, and you're going to be on it. You're coming on and sharing your show and bringing men, women, children that want to understand not just how to lose weight or how to lift a what did you say, telephone pole, you know, but how to make their lives better from this moment forward. So the Rhino Julie Show is coming to Pod Nation, and I'm super excited. If my noise machine was here right now that I ordered, I know Scott Carson is laughing at me right now because he told me months ago to get this thing. If it was here right now, it'd be going, yay! So I'll do it.
I am so excited. I already put it up on my banner. The Rhino Julie Show. Like, looking for a guest to come and be on my show. And oh yeah. I've said it before, claiming command over our bodies, like where we don't have to worry about this anymore because we've got it in check. We have healthy habits. We're addicted to health. Then we can go and make a bigger impact, which is why I asked you if you ate today. Because if you are eating while you're doing this marathon, then that's why you're so bright and shiny right now, asking all these cool questions and laughing. It's because you ate. Otherwise, you would have been like, oh, Julie, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I was sitting here,
like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got to keep going, man. I have 1 cup of coffee a day. You know that. I have 1 cup of coffee a day. And you are my fitness consultant, my health and wellness consultant. And I asked you way back when, can I keep my 1 cup of coffee? And you said, sure, you can keep the one, just don't drink it all day long. And I said, okay. So I've been doing 1 cup of coffee for, 2 or 3 years. I'm a late bloomer to the coffee industry. And I didn't do it today for one reason. It causes you to go to the bathroom, period, but I'm trying to stay awake without it. And by 5 o'clock, you kind of know you didn't have your 1 cup of coffee, and I don't want to have it now because you know that I'll be up the rest of the night and I can't do that. So tell me what's coming up next. When can we get more episodes of Rhino Julie onto the network? What's happening?
So right now I am booking female entrepreneurs and business women who make 6 or 7 figures. I want them to be super successful so we can all learn from them. And we're going to get on the show, geek out about their business, and then we're going to talk a little bit about health and the next one thing they can do to make an even bigger ROI on their business. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I am just so excited to have them all on my show. And if you're interested, you can go to rhinojulie.com if that fits. And for all the guys out there, don't worry. We will have stuff for you in the future. But it's International Women's Day. I'm focusing on the girls.
I appreciate you, my friend. Happy International Women's Day. These 15-minute interviews go way too fast. I appreciate everything that you do. You're part of our show. You're part of our magazine. You're part of our family. And I truly appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll talk to you real soon.
Rhino tough.
Rhino tough. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right. If you've been with me all day, yes, I am so happy that you've been with me all day. If you missed this, if you missed any of the interviews, shame on you. No, I'm kidding. If you missed any of the interviews, we're going to break them up into individual segments or individual episodes and distribute them out. So you'll be able to catch up, but I don't want you to have to go fast forward to find the ones you're looking for. But I, have somebody coming up that's going to help me close out today that I absolutely love. She's got a cool name. Okay. 2, she truly is an entrepreneur to her bone. And she always has something really neat going on. And Cinnamon, what's happening? Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. I intentionally chose the final shot to end with a bang. And I heard that you didn't have a cup of coffee, so I'll be your cup of cinnamon Joe.
There you go. There you go.
Your final recording.
How are you? What's going on in your world? Tell me about A19. Catch me up.
All right. So, so A19, pivoting, all kinds of exciting new things. I feel like it's been more than 20 years. I don't want to age myself, but I feel like I'm new in business, pivoting and working and coming up with all different kinds of designs. And we're working on a website and going direct, building an artisan shop collective e-commerce site. And
wow,
it's just all fun.
Let's tell them what A19 is, because in case they missed the previous interview, what is A19? Yeah, I know, right? What's wrong with you?
So here's the party quiz. If you don't know what A19 is the technical name of a light bulb, believe it or not. A refers to the shape of a bulb. So if you imagine it upside down, like, the shape of a light bulb, and 19 is the size of an Edison shaped bulb. And so years ago, when I first got into lighting, I thought it was fun that we had to put warning, risk of fire, use type A19, and people didn't know what an A19 was. And so I named my company A19. And now that LED is everywhere, replacing the traditional light bulb, now everybody sees type A19. So really it's the shape of a light bulb, but I am a lighting fixture manufacturer, and I specialize with ceramic lighting. I make wall sconces and pendants. So A19 is the name of my
wall
company.
Sconces and pendants. Let's just put it out there.
Oh, thank you.
You make the ones that people want to keep for a lifetime.
Well, and the ones that people only have to buy once, and they will naturally keep them for a lifetime, because ceramic won't rust or corrode. So they're amazing.
So let's talk about, well, before we do that, we got to tell them how to find A19, which is really unique. How do you find A19?
A19.com. That's really tough.
A19.com. Now, you've owned gyms.
Yep. I've owned a fitness business. I've owned an art gallery. I've owned a lighting manufacturing company. I've published a book called Generating Your Own Happiness, some coaching, don't tell the IRS that you ever have a hobby business, but when you're addicted to business. So I used to think I was an artist. When I was young, I wanted to be an artist. And then I realized that business is my art. So, and not that I don't do them long term. I just like a variety of business. It's really awesome.
And recently, in the last few months, you launched your own YouTube channel.
I did.
What's going on with your YouTube channel?
It's called The Secret Spice.
Okay.
And it's my attempt to give away all of my secrets to happiness and fulfillment. And I have different guests, like you're doing an interview with me. Dominic Syracuse is a comedian. He's my most common guest. And we just have fun. It's like a podcast recorded on YouTube.
I have definitely got to apply to be a guest.
Yeah.
Note to self. I got to apply to be a guest. So tell me what's going on with you. Are you going to write another book? Because I know you're not sitting still.
Never.
So don't even tell me that you're sitting
Never
still.
sitting still. So I'm into some philanthropic endeavors. Also, I'm volunteering with SCORE. So if you're an entrepreneur, I'm just going to speak to your audience a little bit. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting in business and you don't know what SCORE is, you should know what SCORE is. SCORE is an organization made up almost entirely of volunteers that will give you pro bono mentoring. And I volunteer on the workshop committee where we do a business series all the way from like startup. We're in a second series right now about growing your business. So I'm doing that a lot. I don't know, Tigo, if you knew that. More and more.
No, I did not know that, but I know it now.
Yeah. So what it is it was on my bucket list of things that I wanted to do. And I said, well, why would you ever say someday maybe I'll do this? So let's just do it. So I'm doing that. And then I also was recently appointed to the San Bernardino County is where my business is located. I'm on the Workforce Development Board, and I just got development and business resources. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm increasing my business and my giving back to the community at the same time. And it's exciting.
What does cinnamon do for fun? And don't you say start a business.
Oh, really? start a business, coach people at starting businesses, hike, play and have giggle fights, and let my dogs lick my face, and just like other people, pretty normal.
How are you handling everything with the COVID and the shutdown and all that? Because you are truly sunshine. I can see that you like connecting with people. And for a while there, we haven't been able to. So how have you been handling and adjusting to all of that?
It's interesting because I think people think I'm extroverted. I'm pretty outgoing and I have this natural confidence, but I haven't minded being virtual. I almost feel like I can expand my reach and I can do more in a smaller amount of time. So I'm actually volunteering more because I don't have commutes to and from things. And I have one of the things that helps me really stay connected, and that's part of my structure for productivity, is I have a call called the generating call, Monday through Friday. And it's something I designed, actually. It's a play on my book, Generating Your Own Happiness. And so it's a small group, like a mastermind group a little bit, where we connect every morning, Monday through Friday, and we create our days together. And so we create like a context for the day. I'm playing for, manifesting miracles, or I'm playing for giving back to community, or whatever you want to play for that day. And then we look at different areas of our life and we make 3 challenging promises, and then we report the next day. So that really has gotten me through not feeling lonely, staying ambitious and creating my goals. And, I don't ever want to discount the severity of COVID and the impact that it has on other people, but I do really feel like practicing what I preach in my book has really helped me get through this. Count my blessings.
Wow. I mean, one, I want to start a group like that. And I know my business partners are out there going, no, you don't have time to do that. One, I would love to do it. 2, I want to find out how to get in your group. That is so cool. That is so cool. That's a brilliant idea to do. If somebody is watching right now, maybe they've lost their job, because there's been a lot of downsizing and shifting, and they give it all kinds of words. But at the end of the day, you're at home and you don't have your job right now. If they've lost their job, or if brick and mortar is just not working for them anymore, and they're trying to find their way, what advice would you give them to get them to go to SCORE, to move forward, to start their own endeavor?
Yeah, not that I don't feel put on the spot at all, but it is tricky. I think the most important thing is to start any type of momentum, and then it builds. I find that in my life that if any one area is out of balance, it'll overflow onto every other area. And it's the same way in creating positivity also. So you can pick anything. You can call and donate time. If you have time and you're out of work right now, you can be helping volunteer with vaccines and all different types of things. So I really think that would be the first thing, is just to get yourself in a positive mindset by doing something that is loving and kind, and that it'll affect. And then science shows exercise. And it's interesting because I did hear the last guest also. I had a fitness business because I didn't particularly like the discipline of exercise. So the reason
with you guys,
the reason I share it though is because the commitment, right? One of my tricks to success is to commit myself to doing things that I otherwise wouldn't necessarily want to do. And so if you're at home and you're discouraged, and if you hit one of those downs, create an expectation that you're going to do something, accountability. And that really works for me. That's one of the beauties of starting a business. It's like you jump off the cliff and you're committed. It's like, wow, right? Once you do it, you can't turn back. You can't not show up on your life when other people are counting on you.
Yeah, I just told a friend of mine yesterday, because she says, oh, you work too hard, and I can't believe the hours you put in, and blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I said, we're building this mega thing, and when I started it, I didn't know I said, it's kind of like swimming in a pond, and you just start swimming, and then you notice you're way away from the shore. And it's like you can either swim back and start over, or the other shore across the way, it's further than you thought, but you're going to keep swimming to get there. You know, you may have to turn on your back and float for a little while, but you're going to keep swimming to get there. And to me, that's what being an entrepreneur is. You know, if you want safety, you go get a 9-to-5 and punch a clock, and that's how
And
you
not
get
that
that
there is
comfort zone.
anything wrong with a 9-to-5 and punching a clock. What I love about life is there are different flavors, right? Whatever excites you is the right one. And yes, if you put yourself in a position where you must swim, if you stand at the shore and you talk about it, then it's a different experience.
Right. Exactly. And if you're talking about it being an entrepreneur and you're not taking any kind of action, and nowadays, I mean, literally, look at what we're doing. You know, I've talked to people all over the world today, you know, from the extra bedroom in my house.
Mm-hmm.
You can do almost anything you want to do right now. Thank God for this technology. And if you're not really an entrepreneur, you know, and you're working a 9-to-5, then work your 9-to-5. That's great. I worked the 9-to-5 for years. You know,
I worked a 9-to-5 and started a company at the same time. Yeah, why?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next for Miss Cinnamon? Because, you know, I got to have you come back for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But what's next for Miss Cinnamon?
Well, I'm playing with some finances. So I'm on a 5-year plan. I have 2 stepchildren. One is getting ready to go to college, and then I'm on a plan to go from the Inland Empire in Southern California to San Clemente to a beach cottage. So I'm working on that. I own the beach house and I have a renter, and I'm excited about the expansion of my business. And yeah, I think there's enough. I think I have enough on my plate currently that I don't have to worry too much about what's next. I'm right now barely getting from day to day. The to-do lists are getting ginormous. Right? Sometimes it's just breathe one moment at a time.
I am so happy you booked the last spot. When I saw your name in there, and I said, yes, that's the way we close out. We close out with Cinnamon, because she's going to bring the energy, she's going to bring the honesty, and she keeps it real. You know, you have done things in your life that others have only dreamed of doing, and you're doing it every day. And you sit right there and go, look, it's not easy, but I get it done. And if you want to do it, you got to get it done too. I appreciate you, my friend. I think you're awesome. I think you're amazing. And my cousin, I've got to acknowledge my cousin. Let me find it. My cousin has been popping in and out all day. And she just dropped a comment that says, accountability, yes. You know? She's out of Phoenix, and she's I love my family, and they've been so supportive with everything that we're doing. I want to thank you for hanging out with me, Cinnamon. I hope you'll come back many, many, many more times from now.
Thanks for doing this. It's really a gift. If I leave anybody, it's just remember that we're all gifts. So just keep being your gift. Thank you for doing this for all of us.
I will talk to you soon, my friend. Thanks for all the support on social media. I mean, I see you float by. It's like, Cinnamon.
Well, that's one thing that's next is I'm outsourcing some marketing in a big way too. Take some things off my plate.
Okay. Well, I will talk to you soon, and I appreciate you. You are awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too. Can't wait.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so you guys made it through. You hung out with me. We were on air for over 7.5 hours today. 27 women, all from all that have done everything from just starting their business and they're growing it to building empires in their guest room as their kids are being homeschooled. That's what International Women's Day is about. That's what every day is about. My mother used to say, I can bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan. Yes, it's a song, and it's truly a factual statement. I love all of you. I thank you for hanging out with me. And as always, I'm Tigo, and I'll talk to you next time.